GNCC is back on RacerTV.com, and as we head into the Buckwheat 100, it is Johnny Gerard who sits atop the point standings. Stu Baylor in a situation where it is a must-win, and you cannot worry about what's happening behind you. Grant Davis, a sensational season out of the XC2 class. He sits third in points on the overall. Are you kidding me? Going to be a great day of racing action, and it all starts right here, right now on RacerTV.com. Are you ready to go? GNCC Racing! And good afternoon and welcome to round number 10 of the 2024 Progressive Grand National Cross Country Racing Series presented by Specialized, your AMA National Championship here in Newburgh, West by God, Virginia for the Canati Tires Buckwheat 100 GNCC. And hey, Johnny, first and foremost, welcome back to GNCC, man. Summer break, it's over, it's in the books, and we are back.
We're back, and we're better than ever, man. It was a long break. Everybody's excited to be back. Today's racing action is anything like yesterday's. Oh, man. We're in for a barn burner. The temps may have cooled off, but we do not think the racing action has.
Yeah, it's so funny. We're racing a little earlier after summer break than what we have in the past, and yesterday was hot early on, and then the temperatures dropped since. I think fall is, okay, September 1st, all right, it's fall time now. So we want to look back at a Specialized race recap of Snowshoe GNCC because, hey, we have been out of summer break. Maybe we've forgotten what happened as we pay tribute to the Blackwater 100 starting on Snowshoe Drive on Snowshoe Mountain. And Johnny, just like Snowshoe always does, this one was incredible. It had everything you wanted out of a Snowshoe GNCC.
Yeah, absolutely. Snowshoe's unique, starting with that start on the pavement. Yeah. Again, the throwback to the Blackwater 100, but obviously we have Howard's Hole. It really does throw some unique obstacles at the racers, and really keeps them on their toes, literally and figuratively, throughout the day. Very slick conditions, mixed in with, as you see here, some very, very fast ski slopes where you can make some passes if you're willing to hang it out, like we see here on screen. And it was a fast and furious battle for the lead throughout the day. A lot of riders in the mix, including Grant Baylor, obviously Johnny Gerard, Stu Baylor. Here we see on screen, there is Johnny Gerard, the 969, obviously with that reversed plate, meaning that he is the points leader. And here we see the battle again. Now it's Johnny Gerard taking over the point position, and the big grizzly bear giving chase.
Yeah, and Grant, boy, needed a ride like that, but boy, when the checkered flag came out, it was the 969 grabbing that checkered flag and the overall win. A high five from the Grizzly Grant Baylor, and Stu Baylor rounded out the box with a third place finish. Ashburn taking fourth, and the sensational Grant Davis, not yet going to be crowned that XC2 champion, but Johnny, he's got a pretty good start heading into these last four rounds on the rest of the pack.
Yeah, absolutely. And Johnny Gerard the same in that XC1 class.
Yes.
Actually 43 points over his nearest competitor, Stu Baylor. It's a comfortable gap, but with 4 rounds of racing and 30 points available in each of those rounds, I mean, he definitely can't rest on his laurels. He's got to go out there. Yeah. He's a little bit of an insurance policy. Does not need to win all these races. Frankly, doesn't need to win any of them. Yeah. But he needs to be on the box. He needs to stay close to Stu Baylor. And again, looking at these overall points, Grant Davis up there in the third place overall spot, your XC2 points leader, a good ways back of Stu Baylor. So at this point, both mathematically and realistically, it really is a 2-horse race for the overall championship.
Yeah, Stu at this point, certainly got to finish in front of Johnny. What you need to do is win. Stu knows that, and we know Stu is at his best when his back is against the wall.
Yeah, I mean, Stu Baylor's a fighter, all heart. That was his nickname back in the day, and he's not going to give up on this championship. He's definitely not in the driver's seat. Gave up some valuable points at Snowshoe where he was hoping to make up some points, but last year a very tough Buckwheat GNCC
very much
for Stu.
Yes,
we've all seen that clip, that poor tent.
Yes,
but nonetheless, sometimes you can have an opportunity to get something back. And place that's taken something from you. So today could be a day. We could see Stu Baylor up there and running away with the win and gaining those valuable points.
Love that perspective. Some injury updates for you on both sides of it. Ben Kelly making his return today. I know I'm stoked about it. We loved having him in the booth, by the way. Yeah. Great insight, but we much prefer him on the racetrack where he'll be today.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you can never count out a former GNCC overall champion, a guy that's won as many races and had as many impressive performances as Ben Kelly. Obviously, he has been off the motorcycle for a very long time. Immediately after the end of the 2023 season, taking some time off, having some complications from some earlier injuries and some additional injuries, ultimately finding out during preseason prep that he required some additional surgeries. So it's been a long road back, but he's been racing. We've seen him up in the Northeast in that Mayday series. He's been competitive. I expect to see Ben jump right back in at full steam, potentially battle for a win, but I definitely think we'll see him up in the mix with his teammates and Stu Baylor and the rest of the big dogs in that XC1 class.
That's it. And then on the other side of that, a couple quick injury updates for you. If you are unaware, no Grant Baylor today, suffered a shoulder injury, and no Ricky Russell out there today in the XC1. But hey, stage is set. We're going to take a short break, get in a word from our sponsors, and we'll be back with more from the Canati Tires Buckwheat 100 GNCC.
You know, when I take the bike out like this, all my stresses just melt away.
I hear that. This bad boy can fix anything.
Yep, tough day at work. Nice cruiser sorts you right out.
When I'm riding, I'm not even thinking about my painful cavity.
Oh, you shouldn't ignore that.
And every time I get stressed about having to pay my bills, I just hop on the bike, man.
Oh, come on, man. You gotta pay your bills.
You don't have to worry about anything when you're protected by America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
Well, you definitely do. Those things aren't related, so...
Oh, that is a vibrating pain.
Every generation believes they've invented the best way. With age comes wisdom. We've come to realize that every piece of knowledge is learned, passed down from those generous and patient enough to teach.
Bogging off the bottom. Let's take a look.
Legacy. It's not about leaving something behind to be remembered by. It's realizing that the future lies within the next generation.
Let's call it a night. All right.
The nature of true progress is humbly building something bigger than yourself. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. This is our legacy.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
Stu Baylor out front, still taking a little look over the shoulder. Slingshot engaged for Johnny Gerard. Had that KTM wide open and went around Stu Baylor.
Grant Baylor, so he is ahead of Johnny G and already has about 5 seconds or more.
Grant stretching it out in these big open sections.
Johnny Gerard up in front of Grant Baylor here as they're getting really close to the finish.
He's going to be riding like an absolute wild man now. There is Gerard bringing it in. Gonna see Ricky Towery with the checkered flag. Bang, and he looks over his shoulder. Congratulations to Johnny Gerard.
Tell everybody I'm back in the game.
I think if Johnny can maybe send it around the outside like he's trying to do there.
Oh, so close.
A new leader. Johnny Gerard is taking the lead away. This was unexpected, folks. Stu Baylor not giving up on it, though. He is right behind Johnny. Johnny Gerard takes his third win of the 2024 season. You can see just how excited he is.
I feel like this is the pinnacle of off-road racing right now.
You want people to know who you are, you have to line up the GNCCs.
The best cross-country racers in the world are here.
I will say I think it's bigger now than it was 5 years ago, and even 10 years ago. I think it's a good thing, and it can only get better.
Some things are different, but nothing has changed. Still got my number, still got my name. Tell everybody I'm back in the game.
Never give up. Like, there's never been a point in anything that I've done where it's like, I'm going to give up.
Never give up. Wise words from Stu Baylor.
Stu Baylor with a really fast lap there. The only guy so far to be sub 29 minutes.
I would lose $1 million before I gave up on something that I've set out to do.
Racing dirt bikes, it's a lifestyle. It's something where every single choice you make sets you on the path to how you're going to succeed or perform. You live this every second of the day.
Back in the saddle, cut to the chase. I ain't somebody who stays in one place. Ready to go, I'm coming to play. You better know I still got something to say. It's a new dawn, it's a new day. Some things are different, but nothing has changed. Still got my number, still got my name. Tell everybody I'm back in the game.
You prep as much as you can, but nothing really prepares you for that 2-lap card.
3 hours of just grit and determination, man. Everyone gets tired out there, and a lot of heart and determination, and you need to tell yourself you can do it, and not I can't.
When I look forward to a GNCC, I genuinely look forward to the miserable third hour. Like, I like that grueling part. I mean, like, when I'm in severe pain and don't know that I can make it another inch and I give it another hour, like, that's the stuff I like. Like, that's what I live for.
And a good afternoon, and want to welcome everybody at home. Watch it on RacerTV.com. This is the Canati Tires Buckwheat 100 GNCC. On a few-minute delay, nothing too crazy here. About to get into our prayer and our national anthem, and then we'll get our rider introductions underway. Just sort of setting the stage right. Johnny Gerard, your points leader coming into today. Stu Baylor sitting second in points. Must-win situation for him. And, hey, we just got the okay. So I'm going to shut up, and we're going to jump into our prayer and our national anthem. So without further ado, if you're out here on property at this time, we ask for your undivided attention as we will turn the microphone over to Mr. Ricky Towery to lead us in a word of prayer.
Thank you, Mikey. Hey, I hope all y'all had a good summer, ready to get back at it for a couple months, but I hope you did. Hey, let's go to the Lord and let's have a word of prayer together this afternoon. Heavenly Father, once again, we do thank you for bringing us all together safely after a little summer break, ready to get back to racing. Lord, we ask you to watch over these riders this afternoon, that you would keep them safe. Let them go out there and have a good time. Be it the spectators and all the workers, just let us have a wonderful afternoon. We do thank you once again for the landowner for letting us use this property to have some fun on. Continue to bless that family. And our military men and women everywhere in the world watching over us, keeping us safe. Be with them each and every day. And our leaders at the high level and the local level, let them make the right decisions for our country every day. And our local policemen, firemen, and paramedics, Lord, in all our communities across the United States every day, they're out there working, serving to protect us. Watch over them every day. And this is Labor Day weekend. Thank you for all the people that do hard work each and every day. We thank you for that. Thank you for giving them the ability to go out there and do it every day. Lord, we already had so much fun this weekend already. We just ask you let us have a few more hours this afternoon And then when we head down the road home, going home, take us home safely. So one day we'll get back together and we'll have some more fun. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you for that, Ricky. And now at this time, for our XC2 riders, if you're able to step off the machine, we'll have you guys step forward onto the XC1 line, and you will lead us by example as Ricky Towery now makes his way over to turn number 1. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not already, please remove your hats and cross your hearts as we honor the greatest nation in the world with the playing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
All right. We are just about ready to set it off now, but first, we want to introduce our starting row for the XC1 Pro Class here at the Canati Tires Buckwheat 100 GNCC. So without further ado, rolling to the line, first in points, the 969 out of North Carolina aboard the FMF Factory Racing KTM, Johnny Gerard. Rolling to the line next, the 514 out of Hodges, South Carolina, aboard the Rocky Mountain ATV MC Red Bear Racing Kawasaki, Stu Baylor. Rolling to the line next, the number 3 out of Livingston, Tennessee, aboard the Coastal Racing Factory Gas, Jordan Ashburn. And rolling to the line next, the number 1, your defending national champion out of Waynesburg, Pennsylvania, aboard the Rockstar Energy Factory Racing Husqvarna, Craig DeLong. Rolling to the line next, the 282 out of North Carolina, aboard the Phoenix Racing Honda. Say hello to Mike Wachowski. Up next, the 347 out of Jefferson, Georgia, aboard the Active Air Max Motorsports and FXR-backed Husqvarna, Evan Smith. Up next, say hello to the number 7 out of Denver, North Carolina, aboard the JS Racing back Beta, Josh Strang. Up next, the 178, a rider out of Australia aboard the Babbitt's Online Monster Energy Team Green California. Kawasaki Linden Snodgrass. Up next, Say Hello, making his XC1 debut out of New Zealand aboard the M-Pro Yamaha, the 198 Liam Draper. And say hello to the number 14 of rider out of Chile aboard the Phoenix Racing Honda, Rui Barbosa. And a huge welcome back to GNCC, the 530 out of Connecticut aboard the FMF Factory Racing KTM, Ben Kelly. And last but certainly not least, the 739 out of Morganton, North Carolina, aboard the Rockstar Energy Factory Racing Husqvarna, Trevor Bollinger. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your starting row for the XC1 Pro Class here at the Canati Tires Buckwheat 100 GNCC. And as our XC1 Pro riders take their place on row number 1, DJ Judd exits the Monster Energy Activation Transport, hops into the RMAX 1000 Yamaha, puts on the seatbelt, safety first, at least top 5. Kidding, that's a joke, safety always first. Puts on the Sparkle helmet, and this is where we like to say, DJ Judd, remove the meat. As DJ Judd makes his way off of the starting line with the Monster Energy Activation Transport, the adrenaline picks up a little bit, and all eyes will fixate to turn number 1, high up on the hill, where there's good traction for Ricky Towery. And Ricky Towery will take the reins of this race, and we go as Ricky goes. Ricky now steps forward and lets our riders know 1 minute. 1 minute until we're ready to go. Canati Tires Buckwheat 100 GNCC Racing, as Ricky now looks down at his watch. And there it is. Blue flag waves, blue flag waves. Shut them down, shut them down, shut them down. As we are just about ready to roll now. Let's get them shut down, guys. Shut them down. And I got to ask you, West by God, Virginia, are you ready to go? GNCC Racing. That's pretty good, but my goodness gracious, it has been a long summer break. We are finally back together. I'm going to ask you one more time. Are you ready to go? GNCC Racing! 10 seconds for row number 1, the XC1 Pro. Bang, and we're off. Oh, Johnny Gerard up the inside, but Liam Draper on the outside. And it is Liam Draper in his XC1 debut, snagging the whole shot and the early lead in this one. Gerard in the 2 spot as we reset the deck with the XC2 250 Pro Class. Angus Reardon, Cody Barnes, Zachary Davidson, Toby Cleveland, Brody Johnson, Jesse Ansley, Sawyer, Karatura, Jason Liscombe. Blue flag waves, shut them down, and we are just about ready now for your XC2. Grant Davis, Jonathan Johnson, and Thad Duvall ready to roll in 10 seconds. Bang! Green flag waves, 913. Brandon Gregory out in front, but the number 35 of Angus Reardon is going to take that whole shot and early lead right there. Late start for Cody Barnes. Got to get her turned around. And here we go with the FMFXC3 125 Pro-Am class. 10 seconds. Tyler Shields, James Churn III, Jack Walker, Joe Shriver, and Dustin Simpson. Oh, 719, Jack Walker out in front. Oh, gets past. Can he fire back? No, it's going to go to the 927. Dirt Bike Jesus. That's Dustin Simpson. Grabbing a whole shot, an early lead right there for the FMFXC3. Here we go, 250A. 10 seconds. Ryan Piper, JoJo Cunningham, Thor Powell, Jason Tino, T-Rex, Nick DeFeo, Gavin Simon, Hunter Bush, Collier Martinez, Will Seven Piper, Mike DeLosa, and Trevor Melee. No doubt about that one. That is going to be Thor Powell grabbing that whole shot, an early lead right there. As we turn our attention now to the Open A class. Dylan T. De La Cruz, 10 seconds. Kenton Coleman, Samuel Evans, Ezra Prine, Trevor Hewlin, Lane Wynn, Cole Whitmer, Colton Coons, and Hunter Smith. That is Hunter Smith out in front on the gas. Right up the inside, and here comes the 950. Make no mistake about it. Mercy sakes alive. Mama, there goes that man. 4-stroke A lights. Colton Shields, Van Adams, ready to roll. 10 seconds. Lane Smith, Rivers Morris, Chase Landers, Sion Connery, Ty Ely, Brady Beerbaum, Ryan Amancio, Joshua Connor, Dylan McDonald, James Jenkins, Isaiah Brown, Brock Belsole. 137 on the machine. I think that's a 037. Maybe Colton Shields out of Morganton, North Carolina. Grabbing that whole shot right there. Ooh, a couple riders getting tangled up. Able to keep her on two wheels. 150A. 10 seconds. Tucker Kenry, Keaton Noltkamper, Rayleigh Messer, Matthew Sims, Michael Meyer, Braden Hashman, Jacob Volan, and Kiefer Galliano. 227 Tucker Kenry out of Salem, Ohio on that Andrew Cycles backed Yamaha. Grabbing a whole shot, an early lead right there as we reset with the Senior A 40 plus. 10 seconds. Frank Messina, James Bauer, Andy Shea, Matt Sorgi, Jeremy Zajac, Adam Nastic, Tom Truxell, Wayne Skidmore, and Darren Darmos. Ooh, a little side-by-side action right there. Out in front, man, looked like maybe 931. That might have been Darren Darmos. Wait on Ricky Towery's signal right here. Junior A 25 plus. 10 seconds. Andrew Boggs, Braden Moore, Mario Tonchev, Jeremy Wallstrom, Russell Smith, Matthew Dreher, Joshua Tock, Aaron Higgins, Corey Jordan, and Andrew France. Through the first turn. Oh, good battle right here, but that's going to go to the 177. That is Mario Tonchev out of Noblesville, Indiana. Vet A, 30 plus. Ready to roll. 10 seconds. Robbie Norwood, Cody Rollison, Scott Hopper, Danny Hoff, Daniel Sims, David Ravinsky, Charles Hugel, and Gregory's got the funk. I like it. Who's got the funk? Gregory's got the funk. Every weekend, baby. 161, Cody Rollison out of Asbury, New Jersey. I believe relation to Kirsten Rollison from Racer TV. 10 seconds. 250B, Devin Moore, Ty Atkinson, Chad Rager, Lennox Riley, Briar Manis, Matthew Simoninger, Lucas Rubenstein, Austin Sakanikas, Mason Sakanikas, all the Sakanikases. 557 on the helmet, or on the bike, 910 on the helmet. That is Logan Pellegrini out of Pennsylvania on that PR2 suspension back ride, getting it done. 10 seconds. Open B, Chris Gates, Blake Freiberger,
Robert Hamrick, Nathaniel Gibbs, Hunter Richards, Landon Tierpin, Colton Selby, Clayton Pratt, Trenton Stonecipher, Caleb Hagan, Colton Painter, Hayden Jones, and Caleb Kirkpatrick. 5-2-2 out of Tompkinsville, Kentucky, Caleb Hagan on that factory connection back ride. Snagging that whole shot, an early lead right there. 4-stroke B lights, 10 seconds. T.J. Brown, Jacob Mitchell, Griffin Coleman, Andrew Meyer, Meatball, Jacob McPherson, Brock Campbell, Keenan Rupp, Philip Likens, Matthew Flannelly, Bryce Woodrum, Walker Hashman, Cody Harding, and Spencer Knight. Meatball, no doubt about it. The man is an absolute whole shot machine. That's a 494 grabbing that one. 150B coming up next. 10 seconds. Jarman Lilly, Jaden Ferris, Wesley Busha, Gavin Hampton, James Simpson, Nico Pursuti, Timothy Brendlinger, and Julian Loy. Ooh, good battle up front. 107 on the machine. 461 on the helmet. That was James Simpson on that Running Lights Beverage and Digital Technology Solutions back ride. 10 seconds. Senior B 40 plus. Larry Hopper, Fernando Pino, Miss Leno Batista, Brandon Black, Brandon Hagan, Nathan Welch, and Freddie Bain. Coming around the first term, little dab right there, 2-3-3. That is going to be Fernando Pino out of Norwalk, Connecticut on the KTM. Grabbing that whole shot. An early lead right there. Junior B, 25 plus. 10 seconds. Garrett Michaels, Devin Hall, Zach Dennis, Douglas Randolph, Zach Cummings, and Billy Saliga. 413 right up the middle. That is Devin Hall. And Devin Hall will hang on for the whole shot on that Maynard Racing Performance back gas. And then last but not least, Vet B 30 plus. 10 seconds. Michael Jarosco, Pete Petruti, Bryce Foster, Kenton Schatzer, Corey Armstrong, Thomas Douglas, Ricky Stanley, William Shoemaker, and Richard Moore. Coming into the whole shot, 776. That is going to be Richard Moore out of Washington, Pennsylvania on the Factory Connection back KTM. We have got a free and clear start line. And I got to give before we go to commercial, a birthday shout out. Lena Cap, happy birthday. Yes, ma'am. There you go. And we will take a short commercial break, get in a word from our sponsors. How about it? Welcome to the XC1, Liam Draper. Full shot and early lead. Are you kidding me? We'll be right back with more from the Canati Tires Buckwheat 100 GNCC.
You know, when I take the bike out like this, all my stresses just melt away.
I hear that. This bad boy can fix anything.
Yep, tough day at work. Nice cruiser sort you right out.
When I'm riding, I'm not even thinking about my painful cavity.
Oh, you shouldn't ignore that.
And every time I get stressed about having to pay my bills, I just hop on the bike, man.
Oh, come on, man. You gotta pay your bills.
You don't have to worry about anything when you're protected by America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
Well, you definitely do. Those things aren't related, so...
Ah, oh, that is a vibrating pain.
Every generation believes they've invented the best way. With age comes wisdom. We've come to realize that every piece of knowledge is learned, passed down from those generous and patient enough to teach.
Bogging off the bottom. Let's take a look.
Legacy. It's not about leaving something behind to be remembered by. It's realizing that the future lies within the next generation.
Let's call tonight. All right.
The nature of true progress is humbly building something bigger than yourself. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. This is our legacy.
Whatever you drive, however you drive. AMSOIL specially engineers lubricants to maximize power, performance, and protection in your vehicles, so you can work hard and play hard with confidence. Order online at amsoil.com.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Newburgh, West Virginia for the Canati Tires Buckwheat 100 GNCC. This is round number 10 of the 2024 Progressive Grand National Cross Country Series presented by Specialized in AMA National Championship. My name is Jackson Burl, and I'll be alongside Zach Heron and Johnny G to bring you today's action. Boys, it is good to be back GNCC racing.
Man, it's been a long summer break, Jackson. Obviously, we've been crisscrossing all over the country. We had a great week out at Loretta Lynn's Amateur National. Johnny G actually getting to join us this year out there, but like you said, it's good to be back. It's good to be back at GNCC racing, and man, it sounds like the riders were ready to get back to racing too, because every one of these starts all day yesterday and all day today have been absolutely fantastic, full of fireworks, and we're going to show you how this pro race got started right now with our Specialized race recap, or start recap I should say. Welcome to the XC1 class, to the Ampro Yamaha of Liam Draper. A lot of talk come in. He had some knee operations right before Snowshoe. He has recovered. He has put in a lot of time, and man, oh man, what a start for the Ampro Yamaha of Liam Draper. I mean, fighting tooth and nail with the best of the best, and says, hey guys, I can work just as hard as the rest of them. We get ready to look at our... There it is. Okay, so XC1, you can see Johnny Gerard getting another good start as well. It looked like that was actually Mike Wachowski making some quick moves around the reigning champ, Craig DeLong, and slide into that third place position. Now we take a look at the XC2 class. It was a drag race heading into turn number 1, but it was a Yamaha rider grabbing the whole shot. I believe Gregory was the last name. I didn't quite catch the first name, but almost immediately Gus Reardon forced his way around, and he claims the lead in the XC2 class as they head off into the woods there on that Landers Racing KTM. Looks like that's Grant Davis back in the third place spot. Jesse Ansley possibly getting a good start, trying to see Toby Cleveland not getting the start that he was hoping for. He's normally up at least in the top 5 there for your XC2 class, so he's got his work cut out for him. The FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am class, one of my favorite sounding and smelling classes, and look at this. Whoa, little cut underneath from Dirt Bike Jesus. Dustin Simpson, a look over at Jack Walker, and Simpson going to grab the whole shot, but look at that. Walker says, hey, I can do it too. Slams the door back and takes over the early race lead. Dakota DeVore, Sawyer Caratura, and the entire XC3 class getting ready to go do battle. So like we said, right from the green flag drop, action here at the Buckwheat.
Absolutely, Zach. It looked like we're coming on screen here, and it is still Liam Draper, the 198 out front. Then it's Johnny Gerard there in second. Mike Wachowski, just as you called it, in the number 3 spot. Then Ashburn, DeLong,
Snodgrass. Josh Strang.
Oh, yeah, Strang on a different machine.
Yep.
Baylor. Rui Barbosa up in that. Then there's Ben Kelly. I saw Evan Smith. All the guys through there, and that's pretty much the entirety of that XC1 class. Strang on a different machine this weekend, coming out on the JS Beta machine. Oh, and there's Trevor Bollinger was the other rider there in front of Evan Smith as well. So everybody pretty much knows the tail. Jumping ahead here to the 8-mile marker, it is still Liam Draper out front, folks. He may be an XC1 rookie, but he has got some time in these woods. His local series races here. He's actually friends with the property owner. They've done some riding clinics here. This man knows this terrain, knows this property, and he's putting it on display right now. Still leading at the 8-mile marker, and things starting to stretch out a little bit. Strang looking racy there on that Beta. Witkowski, oh, that wasn't Witkowski. He was a little further forward, and there's, you see the rest there was Stu Baylor and Ben Kelly coming through there, and it looks like still in the back there was Evan Smith and also Trevor Bollinger. Now we pop ahead out. I believe this is the, I think yesterday this was about the 10-mile marker coming out in this field. So we're jumping ahead. We're catching up on camera shots while we brought you the action coming from the starts. These guys were out there clicking off miles, 12.5 miles in length. This race will be 3 hours long, and it's heating up still with Liam Draper, the 198 on that Ampro Yamaha in his XC1 debut, leading the field.
Yeah, absolutely. Confidence is key for Liam Draper, whether he's in the XC2 or XC1 class. We talked about it. He got that operation on a knee to get some hardware removed just before Snowshoe, but he was like, man, this was the right call to make. I talked to him at Snowshoe. We were both on crutches, so we were talking about how hard of a area that is to navigate, but he said, man, I'm going to really feel the difference once I get healed up from this. Talked to him on the starting line, all smiles. He says, man, I'm good. And I said, red looks good on you. He likes those red number plates, and he's feeling comfortable at the front of this XC1 field already.
Yeah, absolutely. He looks comfortable. Doesn't look like he's really feeling any pressure. Obviously, he's got the heaviest of the heavy hitters in this class right now. The man with the big 43-point gap in that championship standings, the 969 of Johnny Gerard, sitting there in the number 2 spot. But Liam just looks so comfy, man. He's just hitting his lines, dialed in. And it's amazing what a little bit of local knowledge can do for you. Just put him right into that position where he's, just looks like he knows what he's doing out there.
Hey, absolutely. Out for a Sunday cruise, leading the way right now. We talked about Johnny Gerard sitting there in the second place spot. He is the man in control of this XC1 title fight. Jackson, we kind of chatted with him on Friday afternoon. Now, if you're just joining us on Racer TV, it has been a wild weekend when it comes to weather. We had hot, dry conditions on Friday. We had some scattered showers, but ultimately it looked like dust was going to be a big thing we'd be talking about. We said, Johnny, what are you thinking? Maybe some rain come in? Jackson, he said, let it pour.
Let it pour.
He was not worried about the weather conditions whatsoever, and I honestly think we're in store for a great track. We had the rain yesterday, pretty heavy. It's dried out throughout the day today, which has actually allowed for some traction to start to shape up. But as you can probably start to see on your screen, it's starting to trickle rain once again. So may see more track changes throughout the day, actually getting back to kicking some dust up right now.
Yeah, I was actually going to say that there, Zach. Watching those starts, I mean, that looked like tilled loam.
Oh, it looks starts. We were saying the same thing.
But make no mistake, this track will jump up and bite you at any time. We talked about it during yesterday's show. This is old strip ground. So basically, they stripped the ground to get down to the minerals and all the stuff underneath it. And what they did is they put just back a little bit of topsoil. Well, the ground hasn't been reclaimed that long. You got some organic material mixing in. So you got this very thin layer of good dirt on the top. And then you're down to hard base clay mixed in with rock and just some kind of more trashy dirt. So it looks awesome, but these guys, make no mistake, constantly fighting, searching for traction out there. And as you mentioned, as the rain started to drizzle, it gets real icy.
Without a doubt. I'm a little disappointed. We did see a no-footer jumping down that hill yesterday from one of our ATV riders. Maybe not quite yet for our top XC1 pros, but
it's lap 1.
Yeah, this is true. It's early in the race, but maybe later. If Liam Draper's leading by the last lap, we may see a no-footer.
I think we'll see a no-footer, knack, maybe a can, and a backflip.
A little bit of all of it, absolutely. So Craig DeLong, there you see the number 1, the Rockstar Energy Husqvarna. I don't know, is that a retro look that they're doing with the blue? I like it, whatever they're doing. I think it looks good. They got some great gear to kind of contrast along with it, but good look for the Rockstar Husky team this weekend.
Yeah, we saw that they had it with their hard enduro riders a couple weeks ago. They actually did it with their motocross guys as well. So yeah, Husky throwing it back to the good old days, the retro, back when they used to be blue machines, blue and white actually, and they've mixed it up. We've seen them be yellow, we've seen them be just all white and black. So it's cool to see them kind of bringing that retro look in. Maybe a little foreshadowing of what's to come in years ahead.
Absolutely. Now we talk about the number 1 of Craig DeLong. Didn't have the result he was looking for at round 9 at Snowshoe. As now we see your XC2 leader. It is still Gus Reardon out front leading the way. So, and actually, putting a few bike leads between himself and the rest of the field. I don't believe that was an XC2 rider there.
It was somebody in Focus X gear, I believe. They're saying Brody Johnson.
Oh, wow, okay.
So is an XC2 rider. Actually making a switch, had been with that beta team, and from what I'm told, so there's Grant Davis. Look, he has dropped back quite a bit. He was in that kind of battle for third, fourth when we saw them leave the first couple corners, but he's all the way back in about 6th or 7th now. Does have a pretty comfortable lead in that XC2 over Gus Reardon, but if they would finish the way they're running right now, Gus Reardon would make up a whole pile of points today.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't tell, was that Cody Barnes that he was chasing after on the Phoenix Honda? Because Cody had a tough get-off in turn 1. Not only went down, but got run over by a couple of riders as well. So he did get back up and get back into the race, but Barnes definitely not the start that he was hoping for.
No, yeah, hitting the ground like that early in the race, it can do one of two things for you guys. It can either get you fired up, and next thing you know, you're just ripping through the pack and shredding, or it's kind of like those aches, those pains, everything. Maybe you twist up the bike a little bit, and it can be just a long struggle, especially for these guys. 3 hours hitting the deck early like that. We've seen it go both ways. We've seen guys get back up, absolutely tear through the pack and grab the win. We saw that with Johnny Gerard this year in Florida, actually, going down in the first couple corners, coming back and grabbing the win. But on screen, the man right now on the mission still, the 198 of Liam Draper. A little bit of feather in his cap, I think, if he holds this one to the finish line, even just for a lap, to say, hey, I jumped right into this class, I mixed it up, and I showed I can do it. Not to say that I expect to see him in the mix throughout the day, but it's just kind of a right away, little bit of a confidence grabber, and it looks like he is going to lead lap 1. Just saying, hey, look, obviously I've got what it takes to run with these guys. We'll see how much they want to wake it up, or maybe Liam will be the one to wake it up and just run away with his first XC1 win.
I'm trying to see exactly what Draper was doing there. He looked back twice as he came through the scoring area, and then maybe looked like he was moving his hand to try to do something. So Draper paying a little attention as to what's going on behind him. But yeah, like you said, he doesn't just show up to participate. He wants to be in the mix. He wants to be in that dark horse position to jump up and steal some podium spots. Trying to steal a podium spot right now is the Phoenix Racing Honda of Mike Wachowski, applying the pressure to the Coastal Racing gas machine of Jordan Ashburn. Ashburn, one of those riders, kind of holding true to character, a quietly stellar year so far. He's always kind of been up in that top 5. Once again, finds himself up front early.
Yeah, just always keeps himself in the mix. He's just so consistent. Now we see our XC2 leader coming through. Gus Reardon on that number 35 machine, just smooth, grab that whole shot, and looking right now like he's putting down a pace a little bit quicker than everybody else. Brody Johnson there in the number 2 spot aboard a Honda. I'll be honest, I don't know who his supporters are, so we'll have to find out and then missed who those riders are, but as we refresh, we can tell you who they are. There we see, looks like Toby Cleveland coming through, but look at that. Jonathan Johnson in the number 4 spot. So I'm sorry, I thought it was Brody Johnson, but it's Jonathan Johnson in that XC2. So look at this, folks. You want to talk about overalls? Let's let you know who the overall leaders are right now. Angus Reardon leading the way, Brody Johnson in 2nd, Thad Duvall in 3rd, Jonathan Johnson in 4th. So your top 4 overall riders on corrected time coming out of that XC2 class. Guys, we know this is something we've seen in the past. Questioning, will they be able to hold it to the end? We've seen Grant Davis on that overall podium a number of times already this year. Well, he's not even in that top 4. These are a whole bunch of other guys. Brody Johnson, Angus Reardon, Thad Duvall, and Jonathan Johnson all saying, hey, we want to throw our hat in that mix. We want to be on that overall podium. And right now, they're setting a pace faster than everyone in that XC1 class.
Yeah, to your point, like we said, Grant Davis has kind of been the breakout star, really snuck away and like you said, fought consistently for those overall podiums. But now the rest of the XC2 crowd wants to get up in the mix as well. Now, we did just see the 530 of Ben Kelly. Great to have Ben back out there. I told him on the start line, I said, we're going to miss you in the booth, buddy, but I'm glad to have you back out there. So excited to see the return of the Red Bull KTM rider. And Ben's been, doing some different races, kind of getting warmed up, getting back into race shape. And what are you expecting out of the 530? Or more importantly, what do you think the 530 is expecting out of himself here today?
Just some quick conversations with Ben yesterday. I think he's just happy to be back here. He's happy to be back on the bike, and he's happy to be racing. Oh, look at this. Mike Wachowski to the inside. Elbows. You don't see that very often.
He did give him the wave afterwards.
Yeah, no, it wasn't dirty, but Jordan Ashburn is a big, strong guy, and Mike Wachowski is probably the littlest guy in the XC1 class, and he just muscled him out of the way. But Ashburn right back around the outside and saying, hey, bud, you're a rookie to this class. Don't you be throwing elbows at me. Again, clean, but he very clearly did not want to give up that 3rd place spot, but still just showing how racy Jordan Ashburn is. to go back after Wachowski. And still out front, Liam Draper looking good, looking smooth, just hitting his marks, clicking off his line. Now look at that.
They just woke up Jordan Ashburn.
Yeah, and there you see Craig DeLong hanging solid. Also, there is Lyndon Snodgrass. Then it's Rui Barbosa and Ben Kelly back there, who you were just mentioning, starting to look racy as well, putting pressure on Rui. There's two ways you can look at that. Ben Kelly's got to just be happy to be back in the mix and out here racing. But I started thinking a little bit this morning, about Ben coming back. If you want to go back and kind of look at the way things have gone, this is where the track changes up for these guys. They are running a little different section here, so we won't actually get them popping back out through that section. I guess they're going to go around and come back. Our ATV guys actually had that right-hand corner there, so they're changing around, and this is a very, very steep hill climb straight up, so this is going to be a very challenging section of race course for these guys. And you can see loop out Larry at the top.
I think he ran into the back of Johnny Gerard, and he
has definitely got into something.
Who is that behind?
Possibly Wachowski, and that's where the height difference is going to come into play.
He lost a lot of time and a lot of ground there, all the way back. Just got going in front of Bollinger and Evan Smith. Man, that was a mix-up. That looks like, I think Jackson Burrell looking like he's got the look.
Yeah, I'm ready to go down there. I'm about to head out to that hill.
Look at all those e-bikes down there, all those specialized Levos, and they all pedaled down there because they heard, hey, there's a straight-up wall that these guys got to climb. I'm assuming, I could be wrong, that line to the right is going to be the alternate for anybody who does not want to climb the hill. Maybe some of our riders further back in the other classes, or maybe everybody go up it, or as it goes through the race, we'll see how it develops, and Jackson Burrell going to run down there, take a look at it for us. Maybe we can even get a camera shot of these guys trying to come up, and we might see a pass for the lead there.
Man, I'm telling you what, and yeah, we're getting told here from Racer Control, it sounds like maybe some multiple lines headed up that hillside. One obviously working out better than the other, but working out right now is the Ampro Yamaha of Liam Draper. He is stretching things out just a little bit. Like we said, we saw some issues for Johnny Gerard on that hillside. Now Lyndon Snodgrass takes over the final podium position. And looks like Wachowski and Ashburn did get back running as well. So that's going to be a make-or-break section. Jackson, you were at this hill yesterday, a very different scenario than what we saw.
Yeah, no doubt. That hill, you cannot tell, but it's very off-camber. In the middle of it, it is very deep. On the sides, it is a lot higher. So that's a tricky section. The camera doesn't quite do it justice on the elevation changes throughout that hill. Not only that, a lot of loose rocks you'll see as we pan the camera back down a little bit. There is tons of loose rocks on that side, and they are definitely getting on the track, getting right in those guys' lines. And there we see Angus Reardon, your overall leader, out on the track making his way through, your leader in the XC2 as well. Look at that. Thad Duvall now finds himself in the second place position.
Wow. He's made the pass on Brody Johnson, who is still right there. Actually, look, now Jonathan Johnson, big brother. We got some Johnson on Johnson love right there.
I love
Makes the pass, and then also there we do see Grant Davis coming up in the mix. He's gotten around Toby Cleveland, and that did appear to be Cody Barnes there.
I believe so.
So he picked himself up, and he is up in the mix, just battling just outside the top 5 in that XC2 class. So 2 Johnsons in the top 4 as they run right now. So if you're the Johnson pit crew, hey, these guys are going to be close together. Hope you got 2 dump cans and you're ready to get these guys in and out quick, because they want to beat each other today for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. We hear the stories of, man, if I want to beat anybody, it's my teammate. Well, I definitely think if you want to beat anybody, it's probably your brother. So great racing there. We see the 707, who I believe
Jay Lipscomb.
Is Jay leading? Is he in XC3?
Yes, he. No,
I think he's moved up to XC2 now.
XC2.
Yep, because now we see there's Jesse Ansley on the Kawasaki machine. And we'll wait to see. Maybe catch our leader of XC3 here.
Yeah, will it be still Jack Walker? Will Dirt Bike Jesus, Dustin Simpson get it back done? I'll tell you what, we've talked about it before.
Wow, that's T-Rex.
T-Rex.
There we see Walker.
Yep.
Looks like Dakota DeVore maybe behind him. So these guys been neck and neck, trading wins in that XC3 class. So great to be able to get them a little camera shot on Racer TV, show you how close they stay. I mean, and that's pretty much what it looks like a lot of times all the way to the finish. Great competition at the top of that XC3 field.
Well, I think we really need to refresh here, because with Nick DeFeo, oh my goodness, Nick DeFeo, 2nd overall.
Wow.
Out of that 2. I just was doing the math in my head, and I was like, man, he was there quick. So with a lap time of 22:29, only 5 seconds off the overall lead of Angus Reardon. Nick DeFeo on an absolute heater right now. all the way up to second place overall, displacing all of the XC1 riders and all of the XC2 riders, save for one. Angus Reardon leading the way in the overall, and my goodness, we've already seen him get a single digit earlier this year. Jason Tino as well. Both those guys have been up there in the mix, and looking back down through, as they run right now, if you want to talk about the lead that Nick DeFeo has pulled, Gavin Simon, 17th overall, second place in that 258 class, only 21 seconds behind. That shows you just how far things are, or how close things are together. Gavin Simon, 17th overall, Nick DeFeo second. That means second to 17th overall, separated by 21 seconds. We got some close racing here today, Zach.
And this is only lap one. That's what I mean. DeFeo, one of those riders that we talk about, kind of getting stronger as the race goes on. He really starts to get comfortable as he works his way into those XC2 and then the tail end of the XC1 class as well. But he's not normally that far up on lap one. So really excited to see what the 246 is able to do.
Look at the gap that Liam Draper and Johnny Gerard opened up there over Lyndon Snodgrass. We saw, and it started to stretch out. Craig DeLong there now up to the number 4 spot. He has gotten around. Jordan Ashburn may have been a part of that hill climb debacle there, but they're working their way through, and it is still Liam Draper. He's getting to the point now where he spent enough time out front. He's really most likely probably kind of worked out the arm pump. And here we see now coming in to the pro pits for the first time, and we can actually hear him outside our Racer TV studios. Don't expect to see any pits, maybe some water bottle handoffs, but definitely don't expect to see any lengthy pits.
Very cool to see all of the teams there celebrating and pumping Liam Draper up. And look at this battle for third. Craig DeLong trying to find a way around Lyndon Snodgrass. The Wachowski-Ashburn battle continues, and it looks like maybe Rui Barbosa wanting to get into the mix as well.
And then it is Ben Kelly. That's Stu Baylor. The first we've seen him really starting to mix it up, making some moves. He has gotten around string, and down goes Evan Smith on the 347, showing you just how slick that grass is. You can see he stopped, grabbed a water bottle. He did have both hands back on, but just kind of trying to make up those couple gaps to the rider in front of him. And look at that. Oh, Craig DeLong really putting the pressure on, goes right inside of Snodgrass, but Snodgrass going to send it back around the outside, and is he going to get it back? Jumping off that ledge there, right, holding on to the position.
Man, Lyndon Snodgrass on that Babbitt's Online Monster Energy Kawasaki, launching into the woods to try to hold on to the position over Craig DeLong. But yeah, Evan Smith just a little too slideways there coming out of that corner. But those guys are hard on the throttle. And like you said, we heard our trail boss Ryan Eccles talk about it. Some of these sections really have tacked up a little bit. But man, the blink of an eye and it turns into glass. You find yourself on the ground.
Well, that's just it. You know, that was one of the first sections of racetrack that they've been to that hasn't been broken in all weekend. All it is just untouched grass. So it's just super slick. As they get on the throttle, they find out just how little grip is underneath them. But a rider we just saw looking real racy there, Craig DeLong. Shout out to him. We've seen him, come up with some good rides already throughout the season here. We've got a lot of riders coming back, but Craig DeLong coming back in his own way. He's coming back from last year's championship and a disastrous start to the 2024 season. And if you look down there, he's got that lone win at round 7. But other than that, only finding the podium one other time with the second place at round 6, really struggling at our last round at Snowshoe. I was talking to Craig yesterday, and I said, hey, buddy, this was kind of your breakthrough ride last year. Not that you hadn't already won races, but this was the race he almost really didn't even need to win. And he came out, made a statement ride winning here. Another rider that spent some time riding here, feels comfortable here, very close to home, living just up the road in Waynesburg, Pennsylvania. So, a short drive, could stay at home if he wanted to. He's got his camper here, but I think he feels comfortable, and he's looking racy early, which is something, frankly, we haven't seen a lot of out of Craig DeLong in 2024.
Yeah, without a doubt. Great to have Craig back in, kind of feeling like his old self, and you can see it whether he's on the bike or off the bike. The guy just kind of, you show it in his demeanor, right? He takes his breath, and you can see, hey, man, this guy's ready to do battle. And so excited to see what the number 1 is able to do, especially with getting a good start early and running up front. So taking a look right now at our Yamaha Racing Live drone, picking their way through the trees here. And man, a lot of different lines opening up as well, Johnny. We talked about this. I heard a lot of our youth riders even say it. Man, there were way more lines than I thought, and it was one of those man, you take the good line, it's great, but if you don't, it's going to bite you. And so look at how much it's closed back up. We said those top two were kind of running away. Now we've got a 5, almost 6, 7 rider freight train pretty much within about a bike length or two of one another.
And look at this. Ben Kelly has gotten around Rui Barbosa, and Stu Baylor really starting to put the pressure on now up to the rear of Barbosa. Josh Strang still hanging tough on that beta, and then it's Trevor Bollinger just behind him. Obviously, Evan Smith losing a bit of time there with his little crash, but wouldn't be surprising to see him back up in the mix. These guys not setting a blistering pace right now, as we can tell by the fact that a lot of XC2 and even 250A riders up in the mix. XC1 guys got to break the trail. There you see Evan Smith almost up to the rear, but to the rear of him is Gus Reardon there, the leader in that XC2 class, looking to make max points on the day, put himself right back in the mix. He already is for this title, but the gap right now, he can close that down quite a bit if he gets a win here today.
Man, got to give a shout out to Bad Thad Duvall up, forcing his way into that early positions. I don't know where he was at off the start, but I don't think he was in the top 3. So making some quick moves on that Rocky Mountain Red Bear Kawasaki, and he's feeling good, feeling feisty. I heard we talked to him a little bit earlier, and always on a positive spin with everything. Sounds like they had a great summer. I know Jacoby had some good results earlier this weekend, so good stuff going on for the Duvall family right now.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's cool to see Thad. He's so invested in Jacoby's racing, and the whole family is. I mean, Chad Duvall, a former ATV superstar back in his own day. Thad hanging out at the races. Back then there was no Striders, there was no Stasics. He was kind of hanging around on a BMX bike. He and guys like Caleb Russell, building little dirt tracks and having the toy cars and the toy motorcycles and playing with them, growing up around it. And now it's Jacoby and Crew Russell and Dax Mullins. It's a family sport. They grow up through it, and it's cool to see the pride that these fathers take in their boys coming up.
Absolutely. Well, it is a ton of great racing right now. There we saw Jesse Ansley checking out in the XC2 class, and we're going to get ready to get back to it. But first, we're going to get a word from our sponsors, and we'll be back with the Canati Tires Buckwheat 100 GNCC. Liam Draper out front leading the way in his XC1 debut with Johnny Gerard and the rest of the field in tow.
Unleash aggression, reliability, and premium quality with Kenda Tires. Delivering exceptional performance on all types of vehicles. Automotive, ATVs, UTVs, motorcycles, bicycles, trailers, lawn and garden, and even golf. Trust Kenda Tires to guide you on your next adventure. Kenda, designed for your journey.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gasket seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best inside their engine. Cometic Gaskets are always constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environments. Whether it's a championship on the line or a day in the dirt with friends, professionals and enthusiasts alike depend on Cometic. Cometic Gasket, sealing championships since 1989.
On Track School is an online private school catering to some of the top athletes in the world. We offer a flexible schedule for students that are chasing their dreams and always on the go. We are an accredited K-12 school where students can graduate with a diploma. Scan the QR code or call us to book an appointment with one of our learning coaches to discuss your students' next steps.
All right, hello everybody, and welcome back to the Canati Tires Buckwheat 100 Round 10 of the 2024 Progressive GNCC Racing Series. Beautiful shot from our Yamaha Racing live drone, as it is good to be back. Summer break is over. It's in the rearview mirror. Now it is time to focus on the final 4 rounds of the season, not only for quads, not only for bikes, but for our E-MTB racers as well. The world of E-MTB has taken over GNCCs. You could see it. Johnny, you even talked about it on that hillside. Lots of E-MTBs everywhere, but they're not just great to get through the pits, they're great for racing as well. Friday, the E-MTB action kicked off the second half of the GNCC season, and no surprise, Cypress Gorey got out front early, but Cody Pivorato, he has really come into his own throughout the season, and he gave Cypress a run for his money all the way down to the last lap.
Yeah, it was a good battle. I was listening to you guys call that one and was out watching some of the competitors cheering them on. Cool little thing, the way you can just kind of talk to them as they're racing. Can't really do that with the ATV and motorcycle athletes, but absolute wheel-to-wheel battle between Cypress Gorey and Cody Pivorato. I called him Corey yesterday. Mikey and I couldn't remember his name. I was stumbling. I was searching the results. My apologies there, but regardless if I got his name wrong, he got everything right up to that last lap when Cypress Gorey was able to just nip him at the line.
Man, that's been the story of the season for Cypress Gorey. He's just kind of stalks his competitors there till the last lap, and then just seems to have a sprint pace that nobody else can match as of right now. There you saw Cody leading Cypress. That might have been on the last lap because those guys were full speed ahead. They might have been able to talk to one another, but I don't think there was a whole lot of talking going on. Ben Ort going to round out the podium out of your XC1 class, but like you said, Johnny, right when it mattered most, the last lap, there you see Ben Ort on the 404, but on the last lap, Cypress Gorey once again makes it happen and takes another XC1 Pro win. The guy is looking almost unstoppable at the top of this E-MTB field.
Yeah, and I think the big takeaway from Friday's race was not only was there great racing action, the course itself was phenomenal. All the athletes that came in just talked about how perfect the conditions were, a great track that they laid out, and also just, the weather really cooperated.
Without a doubt. Lots of smiles there. If you guys have an electric assist mountain bike and you're coming to GNCCs, see if we've got an E-MTB around it, whatever race you're coming to, because if we do, it's worth signing up. That is one of the only races where we have our competitors on the podium consistently asking for other people to come in and try to give them a run for their money and to join the E-MTB racing field. As we turn things back to the motorized two-wheel racing action, we're going to give you guys a little look at the points breakdown for this 2024 season. It has pretty much been the Johnny Gerard show. Consistency throughout the season has really paid off for the KTM rider. Stu Baylor has had some solid results. We did see a decent amount of consistency, but you know as well as I do, Johnny, with a field like this, one bad race really sets you behind. So you can see on your points graph, pick your favorite rider. Stu, a little out of the lead right now, but certainly not out of the title fight.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it was big. It was round 7 where Stu Baylor carded that 15th place finish at Mason-Dixon, and you see that dip right there at round 7, and that's where where Johnny Gerard was really able to open up that gap, and since then, he's kind of just been able to maintain it, even extend it, obviously with 2 back-to-back wins right after that, and that's just one of those things where it's like when you get it rolling, you don't want it to stop. Johnny Gerard, Stu Baylor, all these guys have been on, I say air quotes, break for throughout the summer. We know they've been racing national enduros, the sprint enduros. They've been practicing, they've been riding, but it is a different rhythm, it is a different grind, and we're going to see exactly who's got it all figured out best. Right now, it's Liam Draper.
Absolutely, he's looking great. Now, one rider that you did not see on that chart was Ben Kelly. Like we said, the Red Bull FMF KTM rider coming off of an injury. He's back with us, and we were able to catch up with him before we put the helmet on as far as how good it feels to be back GNCC racing.
Yeah, I mean, we'll find out after the first race, then we could say I'm back. But, yeah, it feels good to be at the race and not just in the booth announcing. And, yeah, feeling good, excited for this track. Conditions are looking good. Hopefully the rain holds off, but for the most part it's looking really good. And, yeah, I've been on the bike for a while now and feeling good and feeling comfortable. So just excited to be back in the mix and get out there racing again. The goal is to come out like a normal race and and fight for a win and a podium. And you know, if I didn't feel like I could do that, I wouldn't be out here. So I just gotta believe in myself and hope I did everything I could, which I think I did. So as prepared as I can be considering the circumstances, and yeah, just gonna go out there and when the flag flies, just let it rip.
He's letting her rip right now, Johnny.
He is. He's letting her rip, and he's ahead of some very fast guys working his way through. Stu Baylor still looking like he's trying to get comfortable, was up to the rear of Rui Barbosa. Now has lost a little bit of ground, but still looking very racy. Now look at this. Angus Reardon has now gotten around Josh Strang, gotten around some of those other XC1 riders, and is physically up to the leaders. He can see them right there in front of him, and that's going to help pull him along. And here we go. Here comes the rest of the XC2 class. Looked like one of the Johnsons, Thad Duvall, and then Grant Davis making moves, has made up some ground, has made up some time, and bringing, looks like Cody Barnes with them. So a lot of those guys coming up through, pushing the pace, and as we look, Cody Barnes was all the way back in that 14th place spot in the overall, but that just shows you on screen, you see these guys just boom, boom, boom coming through, but with the time correction, it just really mixes things up quite a bit. We're watching here from our Yamaha Racing Live drone. While we don't see these guys, one thing I was thinking about this morning, we started to talk about earlier with Ben Kelly, you know, talking to him and just kind of knowing his situation, this is the first time we've seen a healthy, truly healthy Ben Kelly since he disappeared after winning 6 straight races to start the 2022 season. Now, do I think he's going to pick up right where he left off? No, but this is a rider that in 2021 battled for the championship with Stu Baylor down to the final round, came out, got his bearings, and in 2022 was just decimating the competition, winning 6 straight races before that horrific crash that took him out for the rest of the 22 season. Coming into 2023 was never healthy. He started the season with a broken leg, raced injured the whole entire year, and was still in the mix for the championship up until the final 3 rounds. So the question is, what can a truly healthy Ben Kelly do? Will we see his full potential today? Unlikely. You know, it takes some time. These guys are the best of the best of the best in the world. It's going to take some time to get up to speed, but it's just interesting to see. You know, in my opinion, this is the first time we've seen a fully healthy, fully ready to go Ben Kelly and what his potential may be. On screen, Nick DeFeo just ahead of Jesse Ansley there, and that is the rider sitting in 2nd place overall on corrected time all the way back from that 258 class. Very, very impressive. Then we see Coda DeVore, Jack Walker. Here comes the XC3 battle on screen.
Yeah, without a doubt. Now, going back to that Ben Kelly interview, one of the things that I liked to hear was that he said, hey, this is just a normal race. I'm going to fight for wins, going to fight for podiums, and like you said, I think that just shows the confidence. Ben is he's a very wise rider. It's been great having his analysis, I guess, up here in the booth. Really provided some interesting perspective. But if he was like, oh, I just want to ride around, try to get a checkered flag, start to get things figured out, I don't think anybody would blame him. But the fact that he is saying, hey, I came out here to compete, to try to do the best, and if I don't think that I could, I wouldn't be lining up. I think that's a good sign for Ben and possibly a bad sign for the rest of the XC1 field.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's also, you know, the flip side of that coin, it's a little bit scary when you're away for so long. I mean, those guys, obviously, there we see Jason Tino, another one of our 258 riders on screen, likely did see Gavin Simon come through there as well, who's up in that 17th place position overall. But it can be a little bit scary for these guys because when you're away, the sport doesn't stop progressing. We've talked about this so many times. You know, you can be on top of the game, go away for a few months for whatever it may be, injury or, you know, whatever the situation is, come back and it's like, wow, where did all this speed come from? Or the fitness got better. You know, Ben Kelly obviously been training, been riding with some very fast riders, so he's got a little bit of a kind of feel of where he's at. But until you actually put that at race pace here at GNCC, he's been doing some races up in the Northeast, and he said he felt good. So we'll find out today, but it can definitely be a daunting task to just come back and jump in and swim with the Sharks.
Well, jumping in and swimming with the Sharks right now is Liam Draper, and he's leading the pack as Johnny Gerard, Lyndon Snodgrass, and the rest of the field. Look at that. That is a full XC1
Is this a NASCAR race? Like, what these guys are drafting. They're so close together. We got some battles going on, baby.
3 wide into turn 12 here as Liam Draper. And honestly, he has continued to kind of maintain that gap. Is there you see Gerard tucking to the inside, maybe peeking at some different lines. And props to Lyndon Snodgrass as well. He hasn't let these guys run off at all.
No, not at all. He's right there, still putting pressure on the back of our second place rider. Johnny Gerard getting a little slideways there. Sorry to borrow that one, but it fit. But Gerard was just making the moves on our leader, Liam Draper, and 2 seconds later, there he is, a little slideways again. So Gerard getting a little risky. He's starting to feel pressure from behind and looking like he's going to go ahead and transfer that pressure right out front to the 198 of Draper. Again, almost clipping that pole there, and you can see the run that allowed Lyndon Snodgrass to get.
You know, it's funny. Jackson and I, just before the start of the race, rode down here. We thought this was a motocross track from afar. We were like, I didn't know the Jennings property had a moto track. We rode down there, and honestly, if this thing had been tilled up, maybe threw a few jumps on it, it would be a dreamland for moto. But right now, it's a wide open grass field section, and you saw that little step up. Johnny getting a kick to the side, hanging on for it, dabs a foot in that corner, and to your point, yeah, Lyndon Snodgrass closed the gap, but Gerard able to open it just back up a little bit. But all the meanwhile, Liam Draper flipping off into the distance.
My heart rate is going up just watching this. Have we ever had a Yamaha Racing Live drone shot where we have this many guys battling in the same shot in the same series of corners? This is absolutely awesome. I love this section of racetrack. Loved it when I was racing. Love it getting to watch from this drone, and this is the best way to watch GNCC racing. Folks, if you're at home, stay tuned in because we've got an absolute battle going on right now. Zach, the one thing I did want to say, you said it'd be a great motor track if you tilled it up, but you can't till up rock, and this is true. That's about the only thing underneath that few inches of clay there. But that said, no, it looks absolutely. Liam Draper almost did a Chase Sexton and tucked the front there. Bubba Stewart, if he's watching at home, he's saying, hey man, just because you don't want to lead no more, you don't have to tuck the front. You can just go back with grace. But look at this side by side, guys.
Now Craig DeLong once again getting feisty, wanting that third place position. Possibly starting to see those top two break away just a little bit. And he's tired of eating roost off the back of the Kawasaki.
Oh, Johnny Gerard's taking the lead. Don't even know when that happened, but what is happening?
Wow, look at this. Now it is a 4-rider breakaway. Once again, a little look back from Draper. I think it's fair to ask the question whether or not this intensity right now might be starting to catch up. As there we go, Snodgrass launches it down the hill. Nice little line there from Jordan Ashburn, too, just off to the left, not getting caught. I don't know if that's a root or a little lip that's been built up.
Johnny Gerard taking the lead. The man that has had the plan throughout this 2024 season, coming out swinging right at the beginning of the year, and has just been methodical through this whole time. Now he's out front, and I wouldn't be surprised. This guy is a multi-time sprint enduro champion. He's got that sprint pace. Wouldn't be shocked if we see him lay it down here and see if he can't stretch this field out a little bit, because it's fun to race when you have that many guys, but it's also very, very nerve-wracking. Like, you make one mistake, you can lose 5, 6, 7, 8 spots. Look at this. Gus Reardon has now gotten around. Well, that was Evan Smith. He was right behind him earlier, and he's all the way up to the back of Stu Baylor, who can see the leaders in front of him. So he is just on a rip. And look at this now. Also, Grant Davis has gotten around Thad Duvall, gotten around Brody Johnson, gotten around Jonathan Johnson, and Cody Barnes, you mentioned it earlier, on the deck, but now on the charge and up to almost within sight of the XC2 leader.
Yeah, we said it was either going to fire him up or he was going to be feeling it. Might be a little bit of both right now because the Phoenix Racing Honda rider, Cody Barnes, charging forward. Like I said, didn't just go down, but literally took a front tire straight to the rib cage. And so definitely probably going to feel that one. But he says, hey, I got time for pain after the race. The next 3 hours, I'm not thinking about it. Now we've got a little break in the action. I think the question on everyone's mind is where is that 246 of Nick DeFeo? Second on the overall list last time we saw. And we talk about this a lot of times. We see the XC2 and occasionally some of those A riders pop up, but as the race wears on, they start dropping back. And especially with the pace that we've got of essentially our top 6 or 7, it's going to be hard for DeFeo to match that further back in the pack.
Yeah, absolutely. And right now, especially when you've got, like you said, Johnny Gerard going to the front, and the only reason he's going to the front, he wants to control the pace. And in Johnny's case, typically controlling it means we stretch the throttle cable, we lock it there, we pull the clutch in very occasionally if we need to slow down. This man has just been on rails. He is absolutely ripping in 2024, and especially if he's paying attention to what's you pointed out earlier going back when Liam Draper's leading, he did make that hand gesture, but he was looking back, and I could see exactly what he's doing. He's looking 1, 2, like, who are the next 3 to 5 guys behind me, wanting to know. And if Johnny Gerard's done that and checked back, he knows his closest competitor in points, Stu Baylor. He can't see him back there. This is his opportunity. Don't give Stu a chance to get back in this race. Pick the pace up, drag this whole field apart, and it just makes it so much harder to make moves later in the race. So wouldn't be surprised to see him put in a real good push here the next couple laps and see if he can't stretch this field apart.
Johnny Gerard out there, the way you describe it, the man is playing chess right now, and that is a chess move for the 969 as they check in. Another lap completed. Gerard and pretty much the rest of the entire XC1 field right behind him.
And when you say he's playing chess, Johnny plays chess in a very unique way, attack. attack. And it shows because he doesn't have to with the 43-point lead. You know, if he's ahead of Stu Baylor, he's doing great. Even if he's close to Stu Baylor with 4 rounds left, he's doing great. He could play the managed game, but this is a guy, he's a New England Ripper. They just get nasty, and that's exactly what he's doing right now. He's just full push, full sprint, throwing caution to the wind, and he's going for it.
Well, as they checked in and we throw the baby blanket over them because they're that close, it was, and now XC2 checking in. Ames Reardon on time adjustment out front. Grant Davis in the 2 spot. Jonathan Johnson in 3rd. So Thad Duvall in 4th. And Cody Barnes in 5th. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, all out of that XC2. So they have their own version of this freight train we're watching on XC1. And then you've got, waiting on Nick DeFeo.
It's going to be a minute, but look at those lap times. Obviously, if you go down and you find our leader in the XC1 class, Johnny Girard, there with a lap time of 31:59. You look, 31:32 for Angus Reardon, almost 20 seconds faster, but look at that lap time below him.
Let's see, Lyndon Snodgrass.
Nope, ahead, just below Angus Reardon there.
Oh, Grant Davis, a 31:25.
So coming through traffic 7 seconds faster than the overall leader, putting him up into 2nd place overall. Wasn't even in the top 5 a lap ago. So Grant Davis on a mission. He knows he's got an XC2 championship that he wants to fight for, and the man he needs to fight is out front, leading physically in that XC2 class and leading on corrected time in the overall. So he wants to get in the mix. 12 seconds behind him right now. Johnny Girard starting to stretch it out a little bit.
You know, another thing worth noting is a lot of these camera shots, great shots, but they don't quite capture the off-camera-ness of some of these areas, especially in these open sections. We talk about being hard on the throttle, and you see the back end step out. They are actually coming backwards through the first couple of corners off of the start right before they head into those pro pits. And not only is it slick, as there you see Stu Baylor still getting chased by Gus Reardon, but you talked about it yesterday, that real shiny, hard-packed base. I mean, absolutely like glass. The second you get on the throttle, the back end starts stepping out. And then you go maybe a foot over and you're getting those powdered berms.
Yeah, absolutely. Very unsure surfaces here at this racetrack. As we watch our top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 battle, I wanted to point out a couple of things there watching that last section. Shout out to Rui Barbosa. This is the raciest we've seen him in 2024. Right up there, in touch with the leaders, jumping up to that XC1 class, and he's looking good, looking comfortable. He's actually kind of latched onto the back of Ben Kelly there and is in the mix with those leaders. And also as they came through, Evan Smith, we saw him have that little slideways moment there in the pro pits. He's got up and he's passed at least 5 or 6 of the XC1 riders, kind of latched on to, looks like Gus Reardon is who he's latched onto, and it's pulling him back up towards the leaders. Great ride out of Evan Smith so far here today.
Nick DeFeo finally checking in 8th overall now, but obviously leading the way for the 250A class. And behind him is just nobody in the amateur class.
That just goes to show, like, once these guys pick up the pace, Nick DeFeo, in and of himself, it's just so hard to match that intensity when you're all by yourself, and he has no idea that these guys have lit the wick. You know, he thinks, I mean, and he may not even know he was 2nd overall, but he had a great pace he was comfortable with, and I bet you if you look at the lap times, he didn't really fall off. These front runners really picked it up.
All right, let's get ready. It's time for the hill. You see the crowd all anxiously awaiting. We had some chaos here early in the race. Riders more than likely probably got their lines picked out now, figured out how they want to attack this section. But you got to be meticulously careful about it. This is something that we talk about a lot when it comes to the hill sections throughout the series. Is you may think you know where you want to go. You may think you know how this is developing. But, Mike, you know as well as I do, when a couple hundred of bikes go over the same spot, it looks totally different by the time you get back to it.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. I just want to point out how stoked I am that the Buckwheat 100 is starting to develop a Ironman Hill-like section, a Howard's Hole-like section where we're starting to see a big crowd gather. This is good for the sport.
Absolutely.
This is good.
Yeah, a huge shout out to the entire Jennings family and everybody here involved with this Buckwheat facility, because it has been top notch, man. I mean, everything from the parking and the pits to obviously the race course that we've got laid out. The GNCC track crew doing a great job. We see a couple of riders getting hung up on the top side of that hill. You just catch them through the foliage there. Can't quite even see who it is, but make or break section, to say the least. Always the case with these hill climbs, because you know you're about 3/4 of the way up and you get stuck. Very rarely are you able to just go all the way up. You got to start back at the bottom and try to get another run at it. So a lot of time able to be made or lost. Same thing with these downhills. There you saw Johnny Girard kind of hopping and launching his way down. And like Jackson was talking about earlier, this thing honestly kind of turning into almost a staircase down the hill. Ben Kelly says, I'm just one wheel down that thing.
One wheel.
Front tire, not even going to touch it.
Great to see Ben Kelly back out doing Ben Kelly-like things.
Yeah, without a doubt. And just like Johnny said, Rui Barbosa, there you saw Stu Baylor lashed onto the back of that freight train. Then it was Gus Reardon, Evan Smith right there as well. And then got a little bit of time before our next group. There you see Josh Strang on that new beta ride. Looking good. Don't know exactly how much time he's had on the new machine, but he says, hey, man, I'm a racer. I'm here to race. That's what I'm going to do. Cody Barnes looking like he was starting to get back into the fight, not just hanging back there, but starting to show a wheel up the insides.
And Barnes, I know you saw the start and the start replay there, but Barnes, not a great start by him. It was very, very last coming off of the line.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I mean, last in some pain as well. And one of the other Phoenix Racing Honda riders, Barbosa, he didn't get a great start for the XC1 field either. And like Johnny mentioned, lashed onto the back of the group and has been able to stay right there. So solid showing for those boys, as now you start to see the gap that they've opened up. It's all close racing at the front, but man, they are putting a blistering pace on for the rest of the field as we continue to wait for the next riders headed down this Rocky Mountain hill.
We should be able to possibly catch our XC3 leaders coming through here. We've seen a lot of the XC2 work their way through. When we looked, I don't know if they've checked in there yet. If we can check that XC3, give those guys a little love. Looks like it. There you go, Mikey.
Two guys, Jack Walker, the 719 Beta out in front, and Dakota DeVore in the 2 spot. So that is it so far out of the FMF XC3.
2.4 seconds between them. So those guys are wheel to wheel.
Tight race in there. Dustin Simpson third. Tyler Shields in fourth, and Joe Shriver rounding out that top 5.
And we are still waiting here at the hill. I mean, that is a monstrous gap that has been opened up. There we see our next rider.
Brody Johnson.
Yep, Brody Johnson.
There,
and then DeFeo right behind him. Yep, T-Rex doing a great job.
Those tiny arms.
Jesse Ansley just behind him.
You know the story behind that, right? Like, so basically when he was a kid, he had these short arms, and his dad would tease him because he couldn't even get the goggles over his helmet. And I thought he was joking, and Nick's like, no, that was legit.
I keep telling him
finally grow into them though.
I keep telling him he needs a butt patch of a T-Rex with a motocross helmet on. Yes. So any of our graphic designers out there, make that up and send it over to Nick DeFeo, because and I love it too. The nicknames, some of the riders, they don't love it, but Nick, man, he's all smiles about it. He laughs about it, and I think his Instagram handles T-Rex.
Yes.
So now we see there was Jack Walker, and the gap has not really changed back to Dakota DeVore, a second or two at most as they head down the hillside. And those guys, like I was talking about earlier, Mikey, they've kind of been back and forth. They really kind of know what to expect out of one another. Obviously, a ton of respect between competitors, but there is liable to be that little space between them for the next 2 hours, essentially. So lots of great close racing at the front of our XC1, 2, and 3 classes. Nick DeFeo trying to run away in the A class. Another one of our beta riders headed down the hill. That's possibly Jason Tino on the Husky headed down the hill. And I think the cool thing about this, Mikey, is the fact that obviously we're getting to see the stars of today, and even your XC2 and XC3 riders are heading up and really going to put on a show for us for the next few years. But then you start to get down to the DeFeos, the Gavin Simons, you know, and it's like, man, the future is bright, and these kids are quick already.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of funny. We had a hypothetical discussion this morning about that in the youth class of, who do you think are going to be the heavy hitters come XC1 once these guys get to that age? I'm not throwing the names out there that we said just because I don't want to get those kids a big ego, but there was about 4 or 5 names on that front row that were like, these are going to be guys to look out in. Honestly, maybe 5-6 years we'll see those guys up in those ranks.
Yeah, without a doubt. And speaking of our youth race, I do want to give a shout out to our YXC1 winner, Brody Amos. Not only did he fight and grab the win, the guy had a briar wrap around his neck. His neck was bleeding pretty profusely on the podium. And he was like, yeah, it hurt for a second. He's like, but the adrenaline's so high out there, I'm not worried about it. So we had a couple. Briar Treadway, I'm going to give him a shout out as well. The micro racer from yesterday. Bloody nose, grabbed the win, and a pit for Stu Baylor.
Interesting. Everybody else at least bypassed. Well, I guess we got 2 sides of this pit here, so maybe not. Oh, a splash of fuel.
Oh, that could be
on at least the machine for Stu Baylor.
I don't know anyway. That didn't get on the front of the seat, and that could
down into the Hardy Boys.
Yeah, that could be bad for the little Stews for sure.
So we'll see. This has happened to Stu before. We've actually seen Stu jump off the bike and do a little for lack of a better term, belly flop into a small body of water to cool that off. So Johnny Gerard joining us, IMS tank, kind of stuck and splashed some fuel. It didn't look too extreme, but certainly got some on the bike and potentially some other areas.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate because Stu already not in a good spot. He looked like he was honestly kind of struggling to keep pace with the lead group. Stu's a rider we know can come on late. I mean, he's got that grit. Sometimes it just takes him a little bit to get comfortable, but when you're already kind of not in the position you want to be in and something like that goes, again, it goes back to Cody Barnes going down in the first turn. It can go one of two ways. It can fire him up, and we can see a very angry, very motivated Stu Baylor just rip and tear his way through this field, get to the front, or it could be the point where the wheels come off the bus. You just never know. Like you said, going back, Thad Duvall now in the pits, and we saw him looking like he was checking. Oh, yeah, you can see they're looking at his hand there. He's actually not in the pits. He's at the SOS medical tent. So guessing we're going to see Thad Duvall done for the day. Unfortunate there for sure because he was riding very well. Home state race for him here in West Virginia. Fans will be very disappointed. All of us here at Racer TV disappointed. Thad was really in the mix, looking really good, and still actually up in the mix. Even when he came into the pits there, he was still in, I believe, the number 3 or number 4 spot. And obviously whatever happened, didn't look like he'd had a crash, maybe just taking a rock to the hand or something, but he definitely looked like he was in a good amount of pain. And for him to ride straight to the SOS mobile medical unit, thinking he's probably looking to get some x-rays.
Yeah, these guys, we heard that a lot throughout the day today. A lot of riders kind of, we saw Liam Draper even almost started doing it in the open section where they kind of lose the front end for a second, and we had some riders say, when I did catch traction, it shot me off to the side, and I'm, sucker punching a tree, and those things don't take kindly to that. So hopefully that's not what happened, but nonetheless, Thad holding that hand or wrist, and a huge shout out to Doc Tanner and the entire safety on-site crew doing a great job of taking care of all the injuries that come up throughout GNCC racing. But right now, taking a look on screen, more of our riders picking their way through. Might be Ken Hill down there getting some shots.
It looks like it could be. And I'm sure you guys picked up on, I stepped out, I was choking on something, I have no idea what, but it was odd to see in such a quick amount of time, Lyndon Snodgrass dropped back quite a few spots there, so it could be another one of those things where, just like you said, this track, very easy to jump up and bite you. You just got to really stay on edge, really stay aware, and you can gain and lose spots very quickly.
Well, I think we're going to take a commercial break here in just a moment, but a little small recap for you. A little replay on the pit stop strategy here by Stu Baylor. IMS quick fill comes out, gets a little stuck, and that we'll keep our eyes on that one.
That one didn't look bad.
Yeah,
I didn't say it looked like it. I've been in that situation before. You can usually get away with that. That wasn't a full-on.
There's the pass.
That almost looked like Draper maybe kind of pulled to the side just a little bit. I'm not totally sure. You saw the little glance over, but we did miss that just at the very when it happened.
Well, we were watching all the battles.
Yes.
So, Johnny Gerard, your new physical leader on the track. Outside of that, throw him in a Yahtzee shaker. It's been a wild one. We'll be right back.
I'm Johnny Gerard, and you're watching GNCC Live on RacerTV.com.
We've been there since the very beginning.
20 left, the main event, the Mud, the Blood, the Beer.
Organizing the industry and building champions. "100 years of defending your rights to ride into the future."
Burnout box, right now.
Community, family, teamwork. It's what we have stood on for over a decade. Hauling might be what we do at the surface, but it's much deeper than that, because what you need matters. When you need a haul, give us a call at 724-852-4488. For 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 365 days a year, we at JD Enterprises are prepared to serve you.
It takes commitment, passion, and endurance to make something great. Made by champions, for champions.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Kanani Tires Buckwheat 100, Round 10 of the 2024 Progressive GNCC Racing Series. There you see the Rockstar Energy Factory Husqvarna tent. Craig DeLong, Trevor Bollinger back with us as well. Craig, our reigning champ, having some good results, having some not so good results. It's been an up and down season, but nonetheless, he's rocking the number one, and we were able to catch up with your reigning champ, Craig DeLong.
The last person that made me nervous was probably Caleb Russell playing golf. Just, yeah, felt the pressure. Probably has to be when I was a newborn baby. My mom entered me in this cutest baby contest, and I won. And I was pictured in the paper, so that's right. My first motorcycle was a PW50, and no, I do not have it. I wish I could whistle. I can half-ass whistle, and that's kind of irritating.
Give us a try.
Yeah, nothing.
That's it?
Nothing. I wish I could cook, too. I'm a little bit of a poor chef. If I could have one superpower, to go faster than everybody else on a dirt bike. Actually, if I had one superpower, it'd probably be like super strength or something. My spirit animal is an eagle, because I love America. I don't, not that I've heard of anything, but I mean, I like to have fun. I mean, I don't show it, but I do like to have fun, so maybe that's something maybe I'm uptight sometimes, I don't know. Maybe a little antisocial. I am a very social person. I just, when I'm here, sometimes I don't talk, so that could be it too. DBAB. So you can kind of use your head there to figure that one out, but DBAB. Oh, don't be a
Guys,
yeah, come on, we're on YouTube.
Where's the that may be the best Craig DeLong interview I've ever seen. If you know that guy, he cut loose in that interview more.
Yeah.
Like, that was not towing the company line. He was like, hey, this is me. That was funny.
Yeah, that was good. That's what I think if you just watched racing and you watched Craig, you kind of monotone, soft-spoken, right? But he's a funny dude. Come to the banquet and hang out after the banquet's over. I promise you'll party with Craig.
Just don't bring your cell phone and no posting to social media. Not that anything is wrong, but it's just a little more towards the edge of having fun, less politically correct.
No pictures, no names, deny. Those are the 5 rules.
Yeah, Craig's a good time. Spent a lot of time with that guy going back all the way to when his big brother Andrew started coming around us down in Florida. And back then, Craig was always getting bullied because he was a little brother. And, I think that shaped him a bit into who he is today. He's just kind of quiet, sits back there, does his work. And when things come together, he talks about, if I could have a superpower, I'd like to be really fast on a dirt bike. The guy's got a number 1 on his bike. Dude. He was the fastest man in the land throughout the entirety of 2023. Yep. So maybe he just needs that little boost of confidence to get back up there, win another race, and we'll see Craig go on a tear.
Yeah, DBAB, bro.
I think we've got maybe even a little bit more information from Craig DeLong. OPAG telling us we've got some possibly
so many acronyms.
A part of the interview queued up where he talks about this place. Craig DeLong lives just over the mountain. Actually, if you look off in the distance there, you can see Craig's house. It's the 14th hill from the right, just behind the one that's a little lighter than the rest of them. They're in Waynesburg, Pennsylvania.
Yep.
So he comes over here and rides a good bit. I think we may be queuing that up to see what it is he thinks about this facility and what he was thinking coming into today.
The Buckwheat, that's a good track as well. I enjoy that. It's a close one to home. Again, it's about an hour from the house, and terrain's similar to the Mason-Dixon kind of. It's slick. I mean, the dirt's a little different, but just it's slick. It's kind of rocky. Just stuff I kind of grew up on. So I enjoy the Buckwheat. Just I think it's a good all-around event. It's nice property, big field, and.
So if you look at it this way, in his interview there, he talked about wanting a superpower, being fast on a dirt bike, and then super strength. Not in that order, or actually in that order. But confidence maybe is the one thing that a lot of people say Craig DeLong is missing. So coming into today, got to be a little bit extra confidence. Yep. He's ridden here a bunch. He talked about it. This is what I grew up riding. Just that little bit of extra swagger, a little bit extra confidence, knowing when there's a guy in front of you like, hey, man, I can do it better than this guy. And we're seeing him up in a podium position right now in the XC1 class. In the overall, we see him back there actually in the number 11 spot. But, that is probably likely going to start sorting itself out. Not that those XC2 guys may not stay up in there, but I think we're going to see things starting to stretch out now that Johnny Gerard has taken over that point position and up the pace even further.
Yeah, Gerard out front really pushing. Got to think those lap times might see Gerard pull off, I can't believe I'm saying this, maybe a Grant Davis-like lap time with a 31:25. Grant hauling the mail back there. And there is Johnny Gerard on cue through the FMF PowerPoint.
And looking like there's nobody immediately behind him, but just like that, was that. So that...
I was going to say
Aspirin, yeah.
Wow.
So he made some moves there because Draper was in second. There is Draper back and forth, and then Ben Kelly up to the number 5 spot. Then just behind Kelly, it is Lyndon Snodgrass there on that Babbitt's Online Monster Energy Kawasaki. Then Rui Barbosa. Then it is, here comes the XC2 boys. Then Stu Baylor. Then it's Mike Witkowski, and then there's second place. So is Angus Reardon still leading the way in XC2, and Grant Davis now has him in sight in that number 2 spot in the XC2. Then it's Evan Smith. Still charging, still looking really good. Shout out to Evan Smith. But again, man, Rui Barbosa really impressive so far, hanging right with those front runners. But Johnny Gerard trying to put down a pace to stretch out. And look at this. Josh Strang getting pretty comfy on that beta, looking pretty good.
Yeah, like you said, there is Cody Barnes, also a teammate of Rui Barbosa. I believe Rui was actually able to go home over summer break, did some time, or hung out there in Chile for a little bit, and got right back to work when he got to it, got right back to training. Obviously, he had that Achilles injury, and I really, though, he's been back racing with us for a while. I think he kind of just starting to get back to the intensity that we saw last year, was constantly fighting for XC2 podiums and wins, and now, like you said earlier, Johnny, it is not easy to jump into the deep end with the sharks of the XC1 class.
Yeah, absolutely. The progression of the sport doesn't stop when you're gone, and when you're off the machine, when you're not at your normal training, things aren't clicking off, you're not firing on all cylinders, it's so hard just to come and jump right back in. We see a lot of guys get frustrated. Guys that have done it a time or two, or kind of students of the game, they understand that's just part of the process. You come back in, maybe you'll have speed for a little bit and then lose it later in the race due to fitness, or maybe it's the comfort that you're lacking and you struggle earlier in the race, get strong later. So you just got to take your weaknesses, try to build, try to improve on what you can, and come back swinging again. We get to do this about every 2 weeks for the rest of the year. We get that little break for ISDE this fall, but we got 2 weeks for the this weekend, and then the next 2, and then we got a big break before our season finale in Indiana and Mikey Wayne's hometown.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Backyard.
Just saw Toby Cleveland and I believe Trevor Bollinger coming through as well. Toby having a good run just a few weeks ago up at the New York State Championship that was shown on Racer TV, slicing and dicing up there at High Voltage Hills MX. And like we said, these guys are multi-disciplined, multifaceted, including this guy right here, T-Rex. kind of all by his lonesome right now. And Johnny, you can talk about this, the pacing aspect of GNCC. It's a tough one. You don't want to pace behind somebody. You got to kind of fill out their pace, and then if you get around them, it's tough to continue to charge forward when you're by yourself. So kind of a tough spot right now for the 246.
It is, and early in the race when everybody's closer together, it's kind of easier to leapfrog. You can see the next guy ahead of you, but right now there's some big gaps once you get up after this first group. We've got several places where there's 30, 40 seconds, maybe even a minute to the next rider on track, and those are huge gaps to try to bridge. Nick DeFeo doing a great job right now, only dropping from second place overall down to 8th, but I think he may stabilize around there, but it's still going to even be tough for him with these XC1 and XC2 battles going on the track. These guys are pushing each other, and the guys he's kind of caught up to in XC2 aren't really pushing forward right now, so he's going to have to be the one to make the push. He's not going to be able to latch on to anybody. He's really going to have to set his own pace. Very, very difficult to do, but we've seen him inside the top 10 already this year, and won't be shocked to see him do it again.
Without a doubt, setting the pace for the whole field right now, though, is this guy, Johnny Gerard, wide open out front. He's got Jordan Ashburn in tow just behind on that Coastal Racing gas. You see them both little different lines through these wide open sections. You'll see some of these riders really kind of stay into the inside, not getting off in that powdery stuff, and then some of these riders, they're just leaving the throttle on and railing these outside berms.
What a difference a lap makes. Last time we were through here, we were talking about having so many riders in one shot. Now Gerard starting to stretch things out a bit. Still got a few riders in the same shot from the live drone, but boy, not as close as they were a lap ago as Gerard trying to set the pace out front.
And I could be wrong, but I think we'll really see that in the lap times here in just a few minutes when they check in. Johnny Gerard, I think, is putting in, this is a sprint lap. He looked pretty content there, lap 1, to just sit behind Liam Draper. Then we saw him take the lead on lap 2, but he really didn't look like he was pushing anything super, super crazy. And now I think this is, I don't know if it's full sprint, but I think this is I think this is enough pace to break these guys, and I'm still comfortable. That's what it looks like he's laying down. But shout out to Jordan Ashburn.
Yeah.
He had that rough trip up the hill climb there, lost some ground, but he is really on the charge up now to that number 2 spot, and Craig DeLong also doing everything he can. Both these guys kind of looking like they're holding on by their fingertips, but they don't look completely out of control. They can still see the leader, and that's big, big motivation to keep moving forward.
I still think it's Mike Wachowski's fault. He fired Jordan up, and he's been marching forward ever since. Moved his way into the second place spot. Now, I did see the last time we saw your early race leader, Liam Draper, look like he had the goggles off, and so that's going to be tough for him. Like we said, a little bit of everything out here, little dust, little mud, so hopefully he'll be able to get a fresh set of goggles on soon and be able to keep charging forward, because I believe he had company from possibly DeLong, or I want to say even maybe Snodgrass right around there as well.
DeLong up to the 3rd spot, actually, ahead of Liam Draper. So if we look on screen, that's actually pretty interesting. We have our championship points leader, Johnny Gerard, followed by our 2022 champ, Jordan Ashburn, followed by our 2023 champ, Craig DeLong. So we've got the battle of the champs and the champ to be, favorite, if he can keep going. And when I shouldn't say champ to be, we're not giving him this championship, but right now he's earning it race by race and out front again today. So it's, the cream rises to the crop, and right now these are the 3 that are just pushing a little bit harder than everybody else.
So watching them weave back and forth through the field sections. We have some of the courses where riders really don't get that good of a look at the riders in front of them. Maybe they pass them by in the wood sections. But then we have tracks like this where you have those wide open field sections. Is there a preference? And we know some riders love to know exactly where everybody else is. Some riders, they kind of just want to focus on what they need to do. But in a field section like what you just had a few shots ago, or do you think these riders are peeking over and seeing what's going on up ahead?
I think you hit the nail on the head when you said it's personal preference. Some guys are just focused on themselves, the track, hitting their lines, paying attention to their own data and their own feel. Some guys are really either motivated or affected by the riders around them. A lot of guys will look around and use that to figure out how to strategize for the rest of the race, whereas some guys, they take one look around and it completely just ruins their head, and next thing you know, you just see them dropping like a brick because so-and-so's behind them or so-and-so got away from them. But it really is something that each rider has to manage individually.
Really liked what I saw from Ben Kelly through that section. He was on the pegs almost the entire time. I believe that was Reardon we just saw.
Yep, and then Stu Baylor, then Mike Wachowski, and then Grant Davis. So that's your XC2 battle that you're seeing on lean. Hasn't really materialized yet. Grant Davis has been in pursuit. He made up 7 seconds on Angus Reardon last lap, and looking like he's made up a few more this lap. But Angus Reardon, man, just grabbing it from the get-go, wrestling it away there in the first turn, and saying, I'm gonna make everybody chase me. And when he says everybody, we know exactly who he means. The man that he wants to make the points up on today, his teammate, Grant Davis, and they are just the class of the field so far here in XC2.
Yeah, they have been the ones to beat, and like you said, it's tough when you've got the main competitor under the same tent. They're friendly with one another, obviously shaking hands, giving hugs up on the podium, but at the end of the day, when the helmet goes on, that is the guy you want to beat. And so no love lost right now. And look at this, Ashburn reeled in your leader.
Ashburn goes down.
Right as we said that. Oh, look at that. Spins it around. Impressive move there from Ashburn, but Craig DeLong right on the rear wheel now.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw that they had both opened up a bit of a gap over Craig DeLong, so maybe DeLong going down of his own, now back up right to the rear wheels of Ashburn. But, man, that was, you can see that grip went away. He just low-sided, lost the back end. It started to come around on him, and he just kind of laid it down, slid it, popped up, spun the machine around, and took right off. Still able to maintain that second-place position, but losing valuable seconds to Johnny Girard, your leader.
Yeah, absolutely an impressive recovery, but nonetheless, every second counts here at the top of the XC1 field. So we'll see. Should be a 3-rider group. Johnny getting a little bit of breathing room with that. Little thumbs up from the fan there.
See, and that's one place right there. We saw it yesterday. Look at how quickly he got up. That's one place you can't really help but take a look over to your left, especially if you're Johnny Girard. You don't hear a machine behind you. You know, you want to take a look and just see, like, have I broken these guys? Have they fallen off? Or are they closer than I think? Sometimes the distances, if you're not getting pit boards, can be deceiving. You can think you're pulling away and those guys are just outside of earshot, or vice versa. You know, you can hear these, the ghost in the machine back there. You think somebody's chasing you. Next thing you know, you get a pit board that says plus 35 or plus a minute, and you know you're out there pushing, not even realizing that you're opening up a gap. But look at this. So there is Liam Draper still holding strong in that number 4 spot, and now Ben Kelly up to the number 5 spot as we check in with 3 laps complete. The diesel, Ben Kelly, starting to get warmed up and looking a little racy here.
So back to that DeLong and Ashburn battle. Heart rate probably got to be pretty high right now for Ashburn. That was a quick reaction. Getting told from race control, sounds like we've got a 6-lap race on our hands. So these guys have got quite a few ways to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they've got halfway through. You know, they've got 3 laps complete and 3 to go. If, you know, you're Johnny Girard, you're kind of assessing things at this point and figuring out, is now go time. We know if we look at lap times, 31:13 for Johnny Girard. But look at this. Angus Reardon come back over the top with a 31:20. Wasn't the fastest rider on track. That was Johnny Girard, I believe, still with a 31:13. Look at that. Grant Davis actually edged out
31:13.6
by 1/10 of a second, is it? A little over 1.7 tenths of a second, just a little less than 2 tenths of a second. Grant Davis, the fastest rider on track. But that's what we were talking about. Last lap, those guys were 32:20, 32:30, so they dropped it over a minute. These top riders are just really starting to lay it down, and they are ripping this field to shreds. We see these gaps just opening up all throughout the running order.
We say every second counts. Every 10th counts at the top level of this. I mean, these guys neck and neck, both in the XC1 and XC2 classes. There we just saw Girard head back off into the woods. Ashburn getting a little wide there, and he did open up several bike links on Craig DeLong since that last camera shot. So a bit of yo-yoing back and forth for the Coastal Racing Gas rider as he tries to re-catch up to the rear wheel of Johnny Girard. And Ashburn, obviously, like you said, a former champion in his own right. He probably knows Johnny Girard's hitting the go button right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Johnny Girard hitting the go button has done another thing. In addition to ripping this field apart a bit, it's also mixed up the running order up front in the overall. We have not seen an XC1 rider inside the top 5 overall through the first 2 laps of racing. Now Johnny Girard pops up not only into the top 5, but into the top 3 in that 3rd place spot. But if we look at the elapsed time, and that's what we're really racing for here. Leading the way, 1 hour, 25 minutes, 17 seconds, Angus Reardon, and then 4 seconds behind him, it is Grant Davis. You got to go another 27 seconds back to get to Johnny Girard. So not only are Angus Reardon and Grant Davis leading on overall, they've got a cushion. Can Johnny Girard, can the rest of the XC1 guys get it back? Sure, but I don't think that Angus Reardon and Grant Davis have any intentions of making it easy for them.
Taking a look once again, this top 3 battle continuing to spread out, kind of the back and forth maybe subsiding for the moment, maybe getting told, hey, those XC2 boys, they're leading 1 and 2 right now in overall time. And there you see Johnny kind of launching some of these jumps. I've seen him do that a couple times where he's pretty much just sending it off of any of these bumps. Now we see him starting to tuck to the inside in these corners. And there you get a good shot of how many rocks and pebbles are in this soil.
But you pointed out lines changing up. So here's what happens. At the beginning of the race, you've got to go to the cushion to find any grip. Those insides we saw, there was that rain falling down. Everything was polished off from the earlier races. Now it's starting to get rougher on those edges. It's starting to get whooped out from acceleration, braking bumps, and chop. So if you can move just a little bit inside there, try to find some dry dirt where you can find even a little bit of grip. If you can get out of that rougher racetrack, you can make time.
Back to the hill we go. The crowd still on hand. You did see one of those riders kind of take that alternate line there to the right. And going to get a little bit of a close-up shot here and trying to follow along with Johnny Gerard. Looks like all of the fans following along with him as well. And you can see just how steep it is. And then kind of that hump midway up the hill that really, that was what was giving the riders a lot of issues there early on lap 1.
Ooh, looked like a little bit of struggle there for Craig DeLong, doing a little doggy paddle at the top. Liam Draper looked like he almost ran right into the back of DeLong. This is a section we've seen several times really tighten things up between our leaders.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all these guys fully committed at the bottom of the hill. So if somebody in front of them gets stuck midway, hey, buddy, sorry, I didn't mean to run into the back of you, but I was going already. So there we saw one of the Landers Racing KTM. I believe that was Davis.
Yeah, and Reardon was just in front of him there. So they're all making it up there, but you can see, you almost don't even have to see what's going on the hill to know if everybody's made it. All you got to do is just watch the crowd at the bottom, and when you see them stick their arms up and you see them all intently jumping, that means somebody didn't make it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we got a great bird's eye view, but let's send it down to our man on the ground, Jackson Burrell, standing by at the hill. Jackson, how's it going down there, buddy?
Man, it is going good. Taking a look at this hill, things are looking a little bit different here today. Seeing it very G'd out, seeing some holes. Here we go. Johnny Gerard making his way down. Man, these riders making it look like it's absolutely nothing, but when you're here on the ground, a very, very choppy section that they're making their way through. And guys, I'll tell you, I've been paying attention to Ben Kelly throughout this mile, and he has been on the charge here. I think he's ready to put on the move.
Now, Jackson, are you seeing all of our top riders kind of funnel into one line? On screen, it looks like everybody favoring our left-hand side. It would be your right-hand side, or is it multiple lines coming down that hill?
There is multiple lines. The side that Wachowski just came down on is a lot lower than that far side where we saw Stu Baylor just going very hard ground on that far side. But if you come too close to me, you're going to be in a very rocky section if you get any out of place. But some very, very deep holes going down throughout.
Great in-person observation there. We say it all the time. Being able to get eyes on it completely changes the game. Jackson Burrell doing a great job over there at, I'm going to call that the Rocky Mountain Hill. We had that Rocky Mountain banner right there as well. Now you're getting a great overhead shot. We see Jackson kind of in between, I believe it's miles 3 and 5, but they're underneath him and they're going right beside him. Jackson, you got action all over the place.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Going into this section before they enter, before they ever come down this hill, this other side is getting beat up too. Liam Draper came through, took the outside line. It had a huge kicker in it. That bike shot nearly completely sideways. He was able to gather it back up, but line choice very crucial here in these two sections.
Without a doubt. Well, thanks for the report, Jackson. Be careful running down the side of that hill. Man, you really saw how steep it was. But it's little things like that, like Jackson was just saying, the different line selection. That's what is going to kind of make or break those top riders. It's the little details that are making all the difference.
Well, there you go. We're going to have a new nickname for Jackson Burrell. We're going to call him the Mountain Goat. The Mountain Man. Climbing up these hills, getting us the inside scoop. And he pointed out there, Liam Draper taking that outside line, and that's what we're talking about. Johnny Gerard tucking inside there. These guys always having to change lines from lap to lap. As the track develops, if you keep running the same lines, you may be abusing yourself, you may be missing traction. You got to always keep your head on a swivel. You got to know how these courses are going to develop. It takes experience, and it takes a calm, cool, collected head throughout the race, not just to want to blitz full go. You got to think about where to put that machine to make sure that you've got maximum efficiency, maximum drive, and you're moving forward, because if you're not, your competitors are closing in. I had to see the Stasic track from last night. That was a, what do we call that? Adapt on the fly. We got all that rain yesterday. It turned out to be a great event. Those guys were just absolutely sending it down there. We had to actually set up some safety workers in the corners because they were going so fast. We didn't want to see them tumble into that Canati Tires display. But, you know, back in the day, we used to use tires to line the track. We used them a little bit. T-Rex on screen there, Nick DeFeo, just ahead of one of our XC2 riders, Brody Johnson. If we go and we look at the previous lap, DeFeo dropping down. There we go, 14th place. So he was second 2 laps ago, 8th a lap ago. I think the pace that these top riders are putting in right now and the fact that DeFeo is alone in no man's land, just making it very difficult for him to kind of match that pace, to even, frankly, Mikey, know that pace.
That's exactly right. So, yeah, Nick DeFeo back in the 14th spot. Your top 3 with time adjustment in there. Angus Reardon in first, Davis second, Johnny Gerard representing the XC1 sitting in that 3 spot. Then you got Cody Barnes, Jordan Ashburn. I tell you what, we'll give you a full top 20 rundown right here real quick. Jordan Ashburn in 5th. Outside of that, Craig DeLong 6th, Draper 7th, 8th, Ben Kelly, Lennon Snodgrass 9th, and Rui Barbosa rounding out your top 10. And outside of that top 10, Stu Baylor, Mike Wachowski, Nick DeFeo, who we've been talking about, Josh String on the beta, Toby Cleveland out of that XC2 class, Evan Smith, and then Brody Johnson, Jesse Ansley, and Trevor Bollinger rounding out your top 20.
There you go. The top 20 on the left side of your screen and the top 5 on your screen. Johnny Gerard leading the way, and then it's just boom, boom, boom. He's opened up a few bike lengths over Jordan Ashburn, but then after that, it's Craig DeLong. 1 minute he's putting a move on Ashburn. The next minute, Draper's putting a move on him, and I honestly think the guy driving that back there right now is Ben Kelly. He's like the shark that smelled blood in the water. Those guys have a healthy respect for the 530 machine. They know what he's capable of. As they come out of this GBC Tires pit stop area, we're watching them here on this Yamaha Racing Live drone. They're going to their different pits. There we see DeLong in and out of the Rockstar Husqvarna pits. Then it is Lyndon Snodgrass working his way through, and there is Johnny Gerard in and out of the Pro Pits area. He is still leading the way and looking like he's opened up a little bit more of a gap. Now we're back over to the Landers KTM Semi, and it's your XC2 leader, Angus Reardon. There is his mechanic, his dad, his mom, everybody. He takes a look over his shoulder, and look who he sees.
Grant Davis.
Man, the 922 of Grant Davis. These two, not only do they have to race each other, oh, look at this. Is that Ben Kelly has made the move up to the number 2 spot, so picking up 3 spots in the pits, all the way from 5th up to the number 2 spot, and now it's the FMF KTM guys running 1 and 2 on track, with Johnny Gerard leading the way and Ben Kelly up to that number 2 spot.
And I was about to say, you know, Ben Kelly last lap around, he was sitting in a 5 position. Heard Jackson Burrell saying he looks like he's the man charging right now, and I got to think with Ben Kelly and his mindset, I know you guys talked about that earlier, if the podium is within grasp, Ben Kelly's going to go for it. And we're seeing that right now. He made a very grown man move there on Jordan Ashburn around that outside line, picking up that 2 spot.
Well, you know, and there's a couple of possible outcomes of this if you're Ben Kelly or any of these guys. Mike, you hit the nail on the head, but any one of these guys, if the podium spot's there, they're going to go for it. But it may mean a little bit more to somebody like Ben Kelly right now, just because he's been off so long. We've not seen him on a dirt bike.
Where do I stack up right now?
We've not seen him on a dirt bike since Ironman of 2023 racing. We've seen him on social media. We know he's been doing a little bit of racing up in the New England area here just recently, the last couple weeks, really. But, man, if you're Craig DeLong, if you're Johnny Gerard, if you're any of these guys, like, yeah, you've got the 2024 season to finish out. You're in a points battle. You know, all these guys battling for bonuses per race. Ben's obviously in that same boat. But in the overall championship, Ben's not a factor. But, man, what a dangerous guy to let get some confidence. Mikey, you weren't in the booth earlier, but we were talking about it. This is a guy, your 2021 GNCC overall champion, with an absolute torrid battle down to the final round between he and Stu Baylor, who won far more races that year. When he was on that AM Pro Yamaha, was really just winning. He didn't race round 1, which put him in a huge points hole, and then he DNF'd that final round at Ironman, ultimately the deciding factor in that championship. They came in very close in points. He and Ben Kelly did. Fast forward to 2022, Ben Kelly comes out and, call me a fanboy, call me whatever you want, decimates the competition through 6 rounds.
Perfect through 6.
Not only was he winning, guys, it wasn't close. It was not. Like, he was just absolutely ruining his competition. Then that absolutely horrific injury that took him out, and it's going to be very hard for him. Look at this, Johnny Gerard making contact with a left rider as he tries to get through, and here comes the 530 of Ben Kelly. There is the 3 of Jordan Ashburn, then it's the 1 of Craig DeLong, and the 198 of Liam Draper. So your top 5 still flying in formation, but man, this guy right here, you don't want to give Ben Kelly any confidence.
No, and Ben, Johnny, you may think differently. I have a feeling you'll agree, but you could kind of tell after his injury when he came back, he wasn't quite the same. And then this last surgery that he had, getting things fixed and repaired, you could tell Ben's focus was, I want to come back when I am absolutely 100%, and I think we are getting to see that.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we were talking about a little bit earlier in the show. And the thing is, and I believe he's talked about it openly, like, he started last season with a broken leg.
Right,
he was racing not with a leg that wasn't fully healed.
Right.
He was racing on a broken leg and finishing on the podium, kept himself in the mix, then another injury, and it was just when you're riding injured, it's one injury, one crash begat another. It's just, it becomes this snowball effect. And again, coming into the season, he had the opportunity where he could have tried to keep going, but it may have just been Groundhog Day, day in and day out. And he, the team, everyone around him made the decision and said, you're a guy that's capable of battling for championships. We don't need you out there maybe trying to fight for top 5s or an occasional podium. We want to see what a fully healthy Ben Kelly can do, and we may get to see that very soon.
So seeing Ben Kelly put to good use a healthy and recovered body out there, making moves, getting around Jordan Ashburn into that 2 spot physically on the track, but it is Johnny Gerard, his KTM teammate, leading the way. Of course, the XC2 boys, Angus Reardon, Grant Davis, saw them back-to-back in the pits and exiting, leading it on adjusted time. We'll have more from the Buckwheat 100 GNCC right after this.
Take the bike out like this, all my stresses just melt away.
I hear that. This bad boy can fix anything.
Yep, tough day at work. Nice cruise to sort you right out.
When I'm riding, I'm not even thinking about my painful cavity.
Oh, you shouldn't ignore that.
And every time I get stressed about having to pay my bills, I just hop on the bike, man.
Oh, come on, man. You gotta pay your bills.
You don't have to worry about anything when you're protected by America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
Well, you definitely do. Those things aren't related, so...
Oh, that is a vibrating pain.
Every generation believes they've invented the best way. With age comes wisdom. We've come to realize that every piece of knowledge is learned, passed down from those generous and patient enough to teach.
Bogging off the bottom. Let's take a look.
Legacy. It's not about leaving something behind to be remembered by. It's realizing that the future lies within the next generation.
Let's call tonight. All right.
The nature of true progress is humbly building something bigger than yourself. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. This is our legacy.
Whatever you drive, however you drive. AMSOIL specially engineers lubricants to maximize power, performance, and protection in your vehicles, so you can work hard and play hard with confidence. Order online at amsoil.com.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
All right, hello everybody, and welcome back to Canati Tires Buckwheat 100 in beautiful Newburgh, West Virginia. Great shot there from our drone. Gabe doing a great job getting us all of those shots. This is round 10 of the 2024 season, the first of that final four stretch here after the summer break. And man, everybody knew they had to come out swinging, and they were able to do just that. It is the FMF Red Bull KTM teammates, Johnny Gerard and Ben Kelly. Welcome back, Ben Kelly, running 1 and 2 in the XC1 field. And Liam Draper making his XC1 debut, grabbing a hole shot and leading that first lap. He's still up in that top 5, making some moves as well. And then it is the Landers Racing KTM teammates of Gus Reardon and Grant Davis leading your XC2 class. But we've had a full freight train of riders. So many, especially in that XC1 class, so many different riders showing a wheel here, making some passes. Mike Wachowski has been on the move for quite a while. He got shuffled back, then he moves back forward. This has really been a solid year for Mike in that XC1 class. We've seen what he's capable of doing on the motorcycle. We thought you guys might want to get to know the guy underneath the helmet. We got to know Mike Wachowski.
Like as a racer, you kind of move out of home quite early, and I moved out like slowly when I was 15, and I think just learning the ways of living on your own, buying a house, buying your own vehicles, this and that. I feel like that's a big accomplishment for me. Set the goals early, and even racing side, like set those goals and accomplish those. And yeah, for me, just the living aspect, doing it on my own. Even though I have a massive support from my family. First dirt bike was a XR50 Honda, obviously, which is funny because now I ride for Phoenix Honda, so it's kind of a full circle. I have a close friend that has it, so I'm hoping to get it back or buy it back one day. Yeah, one talent I wish I had would be, I wish I could fly just to, get places easier. Probably to fly or to, I guess, read people's minds, because you never know what some people are thinking. I would say a line. So because they have they're cool, they can have their chill, but when they're on the hunt or in the game per se, they're fierce for sure. I come off as a shy person, and if you get to know me, I'm pretty down to earth and kind of open up a little more. But yeah, from the outside looking in, I think people think I'm obviously a really shy guy and maybe like cocky or misled. So that's kind of the biggest thing is, yeah, if you get to know me, I'm a pretty down to earth person. The moment you give up is the moment you let someone else win, and that's well said by Kobe Bryant. Obviously, within GNCC Racing, there's a lot of different mental sides to it, and if you give up, honestly, there's so many dudes right behind you that's going to surpass you, win, and take over. So that's my words to live by.
So I got to tell you, Mikey, obviously, Mike Wachowski, hometown boy for you there from Indiana, known him for many years. Never really felt like I got to know him, and even in that interview, he alludes to it, thinking maybe his personality a bit misleading. That people think that he's shy, or he is shy. But I got to tell you, I think I got it figured out. I recently saw his father's retirement announcement. Okay. His father was the police chief. Yes. Did not know that. So I feel like growing up having a dad that's a police chief. Mike very very careful to toe that line. A very polite, very professional,
very much.
Consummate professional. Even as, like he said, a young 15, 16-year-old, just always said and did the right thing. Super nice guy, very driven, obviously, but I really think that plays into the Mike Wachowski that we see even in that interview. Ben Kelly in the number 2 spot, chasing his teammate Johnny Gerard, and look at this. Jordan Aspern has latched on, and now it's 3, and then Liam Draper has actually gotten around Craig DeLong and taken over the number 4 spot. So the Waynesburg crew, as they call themselves, sitting there in the 4th and 5th place spot with DeLong and also Liam Draper, and then it's Stu Baylor putting on a charge up to the number 5 spot. He's made some passes, and he's reeling in the leaders. We were forecasting earlier, so he's gotten back around. Angus Reardon there, the XC2 leader, but Reardon still, I believe, plenty close enough for within that range that he will still have the overall lead on corrected time. And then Grant Davis has actually given up a little bit of ground to his teammate and championship combatant in that XC2 class. Rudy Barbosa still hanging tough, and also Lyndon Snodgrass there as well. But Johnny Gerard trying to get away, but right now Ben Kelly and also Jordan Aspern seeming to have the answer, and they are latched on and locked in.
That's it, yeah. Those 3, 1, 2, and 3, very, very close. And we talked a little bit off air during the commercial break about Stu Baylor. Time for him to move, time for him to charge over that halfway point, and he is doing just that here late.
Just saw Mike Wachowski go by. Looked like maybe one of those handguards down just a little bit, so maybe some contact with a tree or even another rider. We saw Johnny Gerard just a little bit ago having to kind of force his way around some lap traffic. There you see Josh Trang really starting to get a flow figured out on that beta machine. And looks like that is Cody Barnes now moving back up after a tough start. So everybody kind of settling into a pace right now, kind of in that midsection. But like you mentioned, Stu Baylor, now is the time to go. With as fast as that top group has been, he's kind of been on the outside looking in for the entirety of this race. If he wants an opportunity to get up and at least fight for a podium, he's got to start striking now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can't let these guys get away. He's still there within sight, especially in these bigger field sections which we are about to come to. You know, we were talking about this just a little bit ago. You know, you look over, you can see these guys. You don't have to rely on your pit boards. You can see exactly where they're at. Stu Baylor going to look over and see these guys within striking distance, and those guys are going to look back and see Stu Baylor close enough and say, oh boy, you know, this guy, we've seen him exude a lot of emotion here at this racetrack.
Oh, yes.
We've seen him put himself in positions where, you know, kind of this is a point of no return, and then today it looks like his plan to return, actually, it was this section right here that we're watching on the Yamaha Racing Live drone. As we pointed out yesterday, you want to talk about just irony. Bryce Neal, I ended up talking to him. That was the exact same section of racetrack. It was hard to tell from the camera angle. I thought it might have been the next ravine over. Same camera, same area where the bike shut down. Last year we saw Stu Baylor absolutely basically devastate his championship season in this valley right here. And right now he's putting the charge on to come right back up to try to catch the leaders.
Mercy sakes. What is it about this little section? Blaming them. Watching from the Yamaha. I always want to say Lamaha. It's Yamaha live drone. I get tongue twisted every time. Drives me bananas. Yamaha Racing live drone. Sorry, Yamaha. My bad on that one. Johnny, don't tell them I said that.
Oh, well, they're listening.
I know. They said, nope, Mikey, we already know. Yeah, so there you go.
Watching on screen, believe that was... I don't think that... Okay, those are your leaders. I was like, wait a second. That KTM was way out front. Look at this. The battle is on.
Yeah, still Johnny Gerard and Ben Kelly. There is Jordan Aspern there in the number 3 spot, losing just a couple bike lengths, but just behind him, Liam Draper really now starting to put on a charge and actually closing the gap back. How much of a shocker would it be to see Liam Draper? Not that we didn't expect to see him in the mix, but he's kind of fallen off the back a little bit.
Yeah.
And now he's come right back up into this group. And we're getting down to the nitty-gritty here. We're going to see a white flag waving here in we'll see a 2-lap board this lap, and then we'll see a white flag waving next lap. I mean, he's in the mix. Can't count this guy out.
No, absolutely not. What's interesting with Liam, we talked to him in the Monster Energy pre-race report, all 2 riders we got to talk to today. But Liam Draper made the comment, he's like, man, I really wish I was battling for an XC2 championship right now. That was the goal coming into the season. But you know what, is what it is. That's out of reach now, so I'm jumping into the XC1. And the expectation was, go out and see where I fall in with these guys. I would say to this point, knocking on 2 hours into this one, he's got to be pretty darn happy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a solid performance, and not only a great performance there from Liam Draper, but the entire AmPro team. Our guy Ricky Russell not able to be with us, unfortunately. Just bad luck once again for him, getting an injury. And so, Ricky, I'm sure you're probably watching. We want to have you back out here as soon as possible. But Liam doing a great job.
Did you see that line Jordan Ashburn had jumping over where there was no bridge, kind of barely making it to the edge? And it looked like Liam Draper took a very similar line there. I think that's one of those things they're just trying to avoid the cupping on the takeoff of that where the bridge is there, trying to get out of the ruts, carry a little more speed, stay closer to the ground. The GNCC version of a scrub, if you will. And these guys, you can see them just driving forward every second, every fraction of a second, making a difference, not only racing each other, but by this time, these guys out front know very well that they're racing against the clock with the two XC2 standouts. Honestly, the top three in XC2 right there still, but it is the Landers Racing KTM teammates of Gus Reardon and Grant Davis running in the first and second spot in the corrected time overall.
Really like what I've seen from Ben Kelly in those last few straights right there, doing a little bit of seat bouncing, catching some air over what are basically formed tabletops that have kind of developed over the last few laps. But we kind of talk about the Jet Lawrence style of using the braking bumps as takeoffs and landings. Definitely feeling a flow right now is Ben Kelly. Reeling in the teammate.
It's interesting as you watch those couple of corners there, they were taking exact opposite lines. Ben wasn't close enough to potentially make a pass, but I think it just is their approach. Maybe it's suspension settings, where they're comfortable. Johnny Gerard kind of running the main line, bulldogging it, and Ben Kelly checking up early, either going out wide and coming across or checking up early and just really working to kind of miss that rough stuff, saving energy. And there is no right or wrong. It's what works for you, what works for your bike setup. But it is the tale of two teammates. Same machines, probably likely set up very similar, and they're just kind of choosing different lines right now.
Fun to watch. There goes DeLong, still just behind Liam Draper there. So DeLong still in striking distance. 2-lap card coming out next time these guys check into the finish line through mile marker 11.
We saw Stu Baylor and Gus Reardon right on the rear wheel. Curious to see, we did see kind of the alternate pit strategy for Baylor. I believe pitted 1 lap earlier than everybody else. And so with a 6-lap race, we'll see how that's going to shake things up here within the final few laps as well.
And then Snodgrass still hanging tough there. Then it's Rui Barbosa. So a lot of these guys still in touch. Maybe not in the mix exactly for a win or a podium, but still solidly in the mix for a top 5. And for a lot of these guys, that would be a very solid start back to this second quote-unquote half of the season. Obviously, we get that big break in the middle with only 4 rounds remaining. It's good to get some momentum going. It really can just kind of carry through these last 4 races.
Gerard and Kelly. Not pushing right there too much. Yeah, there we see Jordan Ashburn a little more hesitant through that corner this time.
Found himself slideways there, and Liam Draper tucking into that inside and sticking right with Jordan Ashburn.
So we've not talked about it in a minute yet. Angus Reardon, Grant Davis 1 and 2 out of that XC2 class on the adjusted time on the overall. So let's see where they stack up when we get through that finish line with our 4th lap completed. Will they still be our leaders?
A little bit of lap traffic coming through here. These guys are going to hear a freight train coming behind them, and it's going to be in the form of not just 1, not just 2, not just 3, but about 5 riders all in touch and battling for these top positions here in this XC1 class.
Looked like Ashburn lost a little bit of time there through that between the last camera shot and now. Kelly has held tough, though. Kind of got those hooks on the back of his teammate. And we're going to get him through the stripe. Once again, we should see, there it is, Ricky Towery and the 2-lap card. So both of the KTM boys check in. Oh,
Johnny Gerard is that was a lap rider.
No, yes.
Got a little sketchy there for a moment, but Johnny Gerard having to navigate a rider on the ground, and you can see these lap riders pulling to the side, and that's that freight train we were talking about a moment ago coming through. We got 2 FMF Red Bull KTMs out front, and they are on a tear, trying to march away from Jordan Ashburn and Liam Draper, who are sitting there in the 3rd and 4th spot. Mikey, have they checked in?
They have. So Ashburn behind those guys by, according to time, in scoring 6 seconds. Liam Draper another another 3 seconds back into Long. Now a little bit of a gap there. 8 seconds back. There is Angus Reardon checking in. Still out in front, leading the way. Donde está Grant Davis?
Oh, I just saw a bunch of smoke coming out of Davis's bike as he went through the finish line.
Maybe issues for Davis then.
Ooh, that could be not only a huge shakeup for this race, but for the title fight.
For the moment, 10 seconds back.
We'll see if we can change camera shots here and catch the 922 of Grant Davis.
That was the tail of it.
Oh, he's got something in the wheel.
So that's a better case scenario than losing an engine, but I can tell you right now, either already doesn't or likely soon won't have rear brakes. The way that banner is tangled up in there, what that's going to do is it's going to get all into the caliper. It's going to heat everything up. He's going to have melted plastic all through there. Only losing 5 seconds that lap to Angus Reardon, but also acquiring that banner, which could prove costly.
I think he stopped.
I think he stopped and is trying to take it out. I didn't see him pop out of that tree. I saw a blue towel on the ground, so maybe Davis trying to bite the bullet early. So I'm going to go and...
I don't think he stopped there. I think that's just part of the banners fell out.
Oh,
maybe. I didn't see him either. So
I swear I didn't see him exit there. Could be wrong.
We'll get the drone to fly down right about 10 feet.
Right. Can we turn that drone around and see if we see Grant Davis sitting
hiding in
the shadow there? I'm pretty sure he did get through there. I think that is actually part of those banners, too, that may have come out of the rear wheel. Looked like it was possibly some Yamaha banners jumping up into the rear wheel of that KTM machine. A little espionage.
Yeah, I was going to say conspiracies. Comment section's blowing up right now, guaranteed. So, at least for the moment, Angus Reardon. Man, and how about that? Like, Angus Reardon, a 10-second gap, 10.5-second gap back to Grant Davis. And still, Grant Davis is second OA.
Yeah. Yeah, and still, if you look at it, it's still 17 seconds back to Johnny Gerard in that number 3 spot. So it was 26 seconds a couple laps ago. Now it's 17. So Gerard, with all the hammer time that he's doing, getting chased by Ben Kelly, they're pushing, and they're just inch by inch making it up. But as it stands right now, I mean, if they keep making up that 7, 8, 9 seconds a lap, I mean, it's going to come down to fractions of a second. Will it be one of the XC2 boys taking the overall, or will it be, and it really, we don't know.
It's very hard to tell. That's what I was going to bring up. Do we start talking about Angus Reardon maybe being the second XC2 rider in history, second this season, to maybe take an overall? Josh Toth picking up one back in Georgia earlier this year.
There we go. There is your leader on screen. Johnny Gerard, teammate Ben Kelly right behind him there. See those guys tucked down, and Jordan Ashburn still there. Liam Draper, shout out to him, man. Rookie in the XC1 class. First time out there on that big 450, and he is looking like he's just an old pro that's been doing this forever.
Been there, done that, and not afraid to slice and dice it up. That's the other nice thing is obviously very respectful, very clean racing, but he's not afraid to make a pass back. And so great stuff, like you said, from the Ampro Yamaha of Liam Draper. There we see, looks like that was Gus Reardon forcing his way around Stu Baylor.
Yeah, so Baylor had gotten around Reardon and was starting to make ground, and now it almost looked
a little labored there. Yeah, it didn't seem very attacking as he, now we flash over to the hill. There we see the 922 definitely has shed some of whatever that is in the back wheel, but
unfortunately looking like all the stuff that was on the brake side has kind of worked its way out. In the chain, won't be as much of an issue. Loud, maybe a little annoying in terms of how it sounds, but see Craig DeLong taking a little more of a right-hand line up there.
I think a lot of those pro guys have too.
Yeah, maybe just V'd out. Jackson, you were over there, maybe got to take a look at that a little bit. Did it look like it was starting to get soft?
I was not able to get over to that very hill climb. That, believe it or not, that is a lot harder to find than one may think.
It's back. It's actually back that valley you were in. You just have to go back quite a bit farther.
Yeah, quite.
So it's these. You can see the spectators, the mud fleas. They knew how to find it.
They transport. They teleport.
Yeah. It's those specialized Levos, those e-bikes, man. They get those guys back there, and they go out there before the course is open, before we have riders on it. They set themselves up there, and they help these guys get up this hill.
That section I was in over there, very choppy section, but really that's the least of their problems out there. Some way worse sections out there, even some of the straightaways, way more choppy than what we're seeing going down that hill. There it is.
Leaders on screen. There is your leader. Throughout much of this race, it has been the 969 of Johnny Gerard. He's had pressure from several different riders. Right now, he's got several pressure from several riders all at once. 3 guys to be, 4 guys actually try to take that position away, and then just behind them it is the number 1 of Craig DeLong, who's lost that toe just a little bit back there in that number 5 spot, but still in touch with the leaders, can still see them in the bigger sections of racetrack. And then here comes your XC2 leader and your overall leader, Angus Reardon, and absolutely on a tear today. I mean, we've seen him go and do some different types of racing throughout the summer. He is bringing big Stu Baylor with him. Stu Baylor was ahead of him just a few camera shots ago. Reardon able to put in a charge and get that spot back from Baylor, and also open up the gap a little bit over his teammate, Grant Davis.
Just behind Davis, got a little bit of space between him and our next riders. Davis, all in all, like we said, not sure if he's aware of what's in the back wheel. There you see Lyndon Snodgrass on that Babbitt's Online Monster Kawasaki, but Davis not letting him affect him. Still looks like he's in the attack position, charging hard, so great stuff there from the Landers Racing KTM rider. Looks like that was Cody Barnes making his way through. And take a look at this. We were talking about Liam Draper really having such a solid performance on that AmPro Yamaha, and how not only that was good for him, but good for his team, because the other XC1 rider that we're used to seeing on that AmPro Yamaha, Ricky Russell, not out there, but he is in here in the Racer TV truck. Ricky, man, obviously we'd like to have you out there, but fortunately luck has just not been on your side. Take us through what happened and why you're on the sidelines today.
Man, this year I just keep getting kicked down, keep trying to climb back up, and then get kicked down again. So yeah, I got hurt 5 weeks ago and broke my shoulder blade, and it's my good shoulder though, so hopefully it heals quicker. It seems pretty good. We're at 5 weeks, so ready to get back out there, hopefully at the next one, but we will see. It's still tight. So.
Well, now you may not be racing, but clearly the team has put you to work. You got the pit shirt on, you're sweaty. You've been out, I'm assuming, checking out the course, pointing the lines. What are you seeing out there from a racer's perspective?
No, the course is shaping up really good. It was really cool to see teammate Liam Draper jump right out to the early lead, and he's riding awesome. It's cool to see. He's looks comfortable, and he's just right in there in the mix with that front group. It looked like he went down like second lap and dropped back a couple positions, but he's right there. He hopefully can make it happen for a podium here.
Back up and charging forward for sure. Now, as far as this Buckwheat course, we've got a little bit of everything. We've got the rocks, we got the roots, we got some mud, we got some dust. How do you guys prepare for something like that when you basically got the whole book being thrown at you at once?
I mean, it's GNCC racing. Every single race, we got different conditions, and it seems like it likes to rain every race when we come here. And the quads this time got the worst end of it looked like. So it's tacking up. It is slick. This place is always slick and nasty, like no matter what. So there's kind of a happy medium between how hard you can push or not, because I think even last year we were all right in a train right to the end, the top 5-6 guys. So it's, like I said, conditions are good, but I think they got lucky with that.
Ricky, you know, it's been a few years since you made the jump from that XC2 class to the XC1 class like your teammate Liam Draper doing today. I mean, to jump in and run right in the mix, lead a couple laps, you know, how much of that do you think, perhaps the fact we talked about local knowledge, you know, he rides here a lot. Talk a little bit about how, obviously, you have your favorite tracks. We know Snowshoe's kind of your jam. There's a few others, like a little bit extra oomph in your step, a little bit extra pep, a little bit extra confidence. What's that do for you on race day?
No, for sure. I think everyone's got their events they really like, and yeah, here's Johnny on screen. Not sure the gap, but looks like he pulled out a tiny bit.
Yeah, a little bit over Ben Kelly there, his teammate. They were pretty much wheel to wheel when we saw him last.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I think being at your home, I mean, it's not his home, but he lives here in Waynesburg. He's close. We're all real close with the Jennings, and really knows the terrain well, and always does well here. He won XC2 last year, so I think that definitely puts a little more pep in your step. And just jumping XC1, you kind of got a little bit like to prove, and I think he's doing that.
Well, another guy we see on screen right now, Jordan Ashburn, just a constant in that XC1 class. You know, it's kind of tale of two stories right there. You got Liam Draper, first race in XC1. Jordan Ashburn, a guy that's been in this class, you know, battled since when you were even in XC2.
Yeah.
You know, Ashburn was already in that XC1 class, putting in podium rides. And out there, it's like every time you think maybe Jordan's going to slow down, whether it be age or, you know, how much longer he's going to keep going, he has rides like this. You know, a champion 2 years ago. And today, I mean, he's looking like a rookie in a good way, like racy, fighty, jumpy. He's chirping at these guys, man. He wants this thing.
He is. He's one that's always in the mix. He's gonna fight for it, and he's gonna ride hard, ride you hard for it. Like he'll race you hard for it. So not ride you.
A lot of you guys
he's just
say
always right in the mix. Yeah. Ashburn will be there no matter what, and it's really cool. Yeah, I mean Ben Kelly too, back from an injury, and right there, second place. I didn't see what happened, but he went from like 5th or 6th to 2nd in one lap.
Looked like he was in the pits. He came in and just had a really quick pit stop, came in 5th, and we didn't see the actual passes, but when they were coming out of the pits, he was suddenly up into 2nd, and those guys were all right there wheel to wheel, but don't know if it was actually leaving the pits or in the turns in the pits, but somewhere he made 3 passes going from 5th all the way up to 2nd. Ooh, Johnny Gerard getting a little loose there. So back to Jordan Ashburn, seeing him there in that number 3 spot. Liam probably wanted to try and get around him. One thing that I've heard over the years from many XC1 guys, they say Jordan Ashburn, probably the hardest guy on the track to pass. Tell us a little bit about that. You know, what's it like having a guy that when you get behind him, obviously he's not holding anyone up. He's right there in the battle for the lead. But you know that guy, I mean, he just kind of has eyes in the back of his head. Never a dirty rider, but he is not afraid to take a line away from you. He's not afraid to hang an elbow out. We saw, you didn't get to see it, but if you go back and watch the race, Mike Witkowski actually puts an elbow in on him just when you think somebody got the best of him. It's not 15 feet later. Jordan finds a way to just get right back in front.
That's what I was getting at when I was saying he'll race you hard, but it's usually clean. It's just, like I said, he'll race you hard, and he'll push the limits because he's going to fight for that podium spot. So he's in 3rd right now, and he's got the leaders in his sight, so he's not going to want to give that up for no means. But he's a veteran, so he knows the lines, knows where he can push, knows where he can block, and just knows how to keep the guy behind you.
Quiet, soft-spoken off the track, but not so much when he puts that helmet on.
No, he's a racer.
Now you see Stu Baylor working through the camera shot there just ahead of him. Our overall leader, Angus Reardon. Been a while since we've had an XC2 rider leading the overall for this long. Obviously, we already saw it for the first time ever this year earlier, as Mikey Waynes pointed out, Josh Toth taking the overall at round 3 in Georgia. And right now, unless these guys up front can pick things up a little bit more, because the pace they're on right now, only making up about 7 or 8 seconds a lap, looking like it's pretty much going to come out down to milliseconds on that last lap, because 17 seconds is the gap right now on corrected time that Angus Reardon has on Johnny Gerard.
Man, so I don't know, I wasn't here earlier, I didn't know lap times, but he had a little bit more than that, so they're gaining a little bit on him every
Yeah, so it was up to 26 seconds, or it may have been a little bit more the first lap, but the second lap is 26 seconds, then it dropped down, and then this last lap it was 17. So they're only making up, maybe 7-8 seconds a lap, and and there's 2 laps left, and it's 17 seconds. So when you do the math, I mean, you're down to fractions of a second making the difference. Ooh, that was an interesting line there from Stu Baylor. I've not seen anybody jump off that. And look at that. He's gotten back around Angus Reardon, and now just behind Reardon, there is Grant Davis. So Davis able to get, Ricky, we saw him a little bit ago, the corporate espionage. The Yamaha banners were wrapped up in the back of that Landers Racing KTM, looking like he was losing ground. He's melted those out, got rid of those, and he's back to full steam and up to the rear wheel of his teammate there. Now the battle is on for XC2.
XC2 has been tight. Gus, I thought, had a good gap earlier, and Grant's made it up, so he's been putting a charge on. But this is one of those tracks you can only push so hard. And I know Stu's going to probably push to that podium, and so those XC2s are going to latch right onto him, and they're not going anywhere.
Well, the race is on, not only in the XC1, but the XC2 class as well. We're going to get ready to toss things to a break before we get ready to close out the action. Here has been what's been going on. Obviously, the 2 KTM riders, Johnny Gerard and Ben Kelly, going at it, kind of yo-yoing back and forth. Sometimes they're wheel-to-wheel. Sometimes they've got space like you're seeing right now. And it's basically the same story with the XC2 class as well. The KTM teammates, the Landers Racing team, doing a great job with Gus Reardon and Grant Davis trying to not only bring home a class win, but possibly be on the overall podium. Let's see how it shakes out right after this.
Unleash aggression, reliability, and premium quality with Kenda Tires. Delivering exceptional performance on all types of vehicles. Automotive, ATVs, UTVs, motorcycles, bicycles, trailers, lawn and garden, and even golf. Trust Kenda Tires to guide you on your next adventure. Kenda, designed for your journey.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gasket seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best inside their engine. Cometic Gaskets are always constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environments. Whether it's a championship on the line or a day in the dirt with friends, professionals and enthusiasts alike depend on Cometic. Cometic Gasket, sealing championships since 1989.
On Track School is an online private school catering to some of the top athletes in the world. We offer a flexible schedule for students that are chasing their dreams and always on the go. We are an accredited K-12 school where students can graduate with a diploma. Scan the QR code or call us to book an appointment with one of our learning coaches to discuss your students' next steps.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Racer TV with live coverage of Round 10 for the 2024 Progressive GNCC Racing Series. This is the Tires Buckwheat 100. As you can see, we've had some sunshiny weather. We've had some rain as well. Zach Herron here alongside Ricky Russell and Jackson Burrell. We were talking to Ricky a little bit earlier. Unfortunately, going down, it's the good shoulder that you said that got hurt. Tough luck for you, but we're glad to have you up in the booth. Let's talk about the racing that we've seen so far. You've gotten down on the ground and actually gotten to see it. What do you think about this Buckwheat course for this weekend?
No, like I said earlier, it's shaped up to be an awesome racetrack for the bikes today. It's always slick here, so there's a little bit of slipperiness and a little bit of mud here and there, but no dust like everyone was scared of coming into this weekend because there hasn't been rain for a couple of weeks, and we got the rain for the quad day, so bikes are lucking out, and it's looking awesome out there.
Absolutely. Now, it sounds like this is the kind of course you talked about, how it's slick in some spots, powdery in others. When you're riding those kind of conditions, can you push as hard as you can, or do you really have to focus on keeping that patience and not overriding the bike and the course?
It's definitely a little bit of a balance. It's a happy medium. You can override this course really easy. This place is always like that because the ground's so hard, and you got those rocky sections, but you got those sections where there's good traction, but they're kind of little and far between, but when you be aggressive, and you kind of just got to manage that aggression, not overdo it and end up on your head, because it's easy to do out here.
It'll happen in a hurry for sure. Speaking of those rocky sections, Jackson, you've been able to check out that Rocky Mountain Hill, several different spots on this course, really being technical, one of which, of course, being the first turn. We were hillside watching this in person. I mean, the action has been right from the gate drop, and Ricky, your teammate there, Liam Draper, not only just saying, hey, I want to, welcome myself to the XC1 class, I want to get in the mix and do some fighting. Really impressive performance right now from the 198.
Yeah, it's really awesome to see. He was right off to an awesome start with those YZ450s. I mean, I've gotten a few whole shots this year as well, so they're rocket ships if you get them fired up, and really cool to see him get the whole shot and just kind of look comfortable. He wasn't doing anything crazy. He was just riding, and it looked like he made a little mistake lap 2 and dropped back a few positions, but like I said, he's right there in the mix, and he looks comfortable.
Oh, without a doubt, and he's back on the charge too. He was right on the rear wheel of the rider in front of him the last time we saw him. We're seeing a couple of different major passes that we've had throughout the day today, and to that point, this race course and this entire design has really allowed for a lot of different lines to develop. We've seen outsides work, riders cutting underneath as well, really allowed for some great racing. There you see the overtaking of the lead, Johnny Gerard getting around Liam Draper, and once again making the outside work, the insides work as well. Tons of options out here at Buckwheat.
Yeah, for sure. No, there's all the grass track. You got a lot of different speeds. So you got the really fast grass track sections, and then there's Stu's pit stop. Is that just a splash? You come back in.
Yeah, looked like just a splash and having some issues there getting the can undone. This, I believe, should be a live camera here, and it looks like we've had a switch up. Was that only one of the KTM riders? Oh, this is still a recap. Okay, making sure. And so there you see, Jordan Ashburn just barely tossing it away. A quick recovery here. Actually maintained that position over Craig DeLong. But to your point you were talking about earlier, Ricky, just like that, you blink and you're on the ground.
It's just got that hard surface to it, and sometimes your front end will go, and when it goes, there's nothing you can do. It's real quick. It's before you know it, you're on the ground. And that looked like what happened there with the Ashburn, a little off camber, and you're coming in kind of hot after straightaway and just washed out. And, he recovered quick and didn't even lose a spot. So.
And then after the passes had been made, it was the two KTM teammates. We've kind of seen this yo-yoing back and forth. Sometimes they're side by side. Looks like Kelly's going to try to make a pass for the lead. And then next camera shot, Johnny has stretched it back out by a couple of seconds. And so really good performance, not only by your points leader, but the returning teammate, Ben Kelly, showing that the fitness is there. And clearly he hasn't lost any of that speed.
Yeah, for sure. He's been off GNCC racing for a long time. So I'm sure he's excited to be right there in the mix and right on his teammate, Johnny. And he went, like I said, he went in the pits from like 5th, 6th to 2nd, so he's right there. And but these boys really need to put a move on because these XC2 guys got them on just the time right now.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just about to say Gus Reardon, I mean, he's been the man on the move really quickly, getting up to the rear end of the XC1 group and making his way through and finding those riders to pace off of. Taking a look, your leader should be coming here to the FMF PowerPoint any second now, and we'll expect to see those KTM teammates back out front. But Ricky, going back to your XC2 career, talk about how nice it is when you do have the ability to kind of sink the hooks into a top XC1 rider. Now, big shake up there. Gerard, no goggles, and it looks like the gap has opened up. And now Jordan Ashburn, the second place finisher, Ben Kelly right behind in third. So a huge shakeup at the XC1 field. We talked about Ashburn applying the pressure. There goes Liam Draper, still hanging strong in the 4th place spot, just kind of off of that lead group. But like we were talking about, those XC2 riders really been able to pace off of the front group of XC1 riders, kind of keeping them in a great spot to be able to hang on for the overall win.
Yeah, no doubt. My best XC2 rides were always when I got up there early and got to the back of the XC1 guys early and just paced off them, because they're all good riders. They're all going to be battling for the top spot. And yeah, so when he got up there and got in the middle of them early, I was like, oh man, he's going to be there for the long haul, and he is. Right now they are right in the middle of the XC1.
I believe that was DeLong and Stu Baylor that just passed by a second ago.
Almost wheel to wheel as well, so DeLong falling back just a little bit, or maybe Baylor moving forward. Did seem to kind of look like he was getting ready to mount a late race charge. And then we saw one of the Landers KTMs. We'll see who this one is. That might be a shakeup. Davis might have overtaken the lead.
Like green backgrounds.
Yeah, I think we're getting a little bit of, we're getting updates here from race control. So it does look like Davis has overtaken the lead and Gus Reardon has fallen back just a little bbit. Can't help but think that's maybe a mistake, possibly even a tip over to lose that amount of time, because those two teammates have been locked wheel to wheel for hours now at this point.
Yeah, no, that was wild. Gus had kind of a good lead on him early, and he's charged it up, and maybe he's just keeping that pace going. I didn't see how far Stu was up on them, but Stu, we all know he's going to have a late race charge. He always does, and maybe with Grant being latched onto him, he learned a lot of lines, because Stu's very creative and really good at picking good lines. So maybe he's using that to his advantage and kind of pulling on Gus a little bit.
So just when you start to think that the podiums are set, we continue to shake them as Ben Kelly falling back to that 3rd place spot. And then looks like Grant Davis overtaking the lead in the XC2 class. He does have some kind of debris we talked about wrapped in the wheel. Clearly doesn't look to be affecting him too much right now. But as we see Josh Strang making his way through on the Beta.
Josh Strang having a decent ride for his first time racing this bike.
Absolutely.
He's only been on it, he told me, for 2 hours, so not much time, so it's good to see him up there. You got the 2 Honda boys.
It looked like that might have been Wachowski and Barnes battling. I saw Rui Barbosa go by just a little bit ago. So a great showing from them. And you talk about, Strang having limited amount of time on the new machine. That's got to be a whole new mental kind of challenge as far as showing up and saying, hey, I know I don't have the amount of time that I want, but at the end of the day, I just got to do what I do, right?
For sure. Like, it was a last-minute thing. It sounded like he made a social media post and kind of just made a switch. And, yeah, I mean, you've got to do what you got to do, and he's a racer when it comes down to it. So he's going to try his best. But obviously he's pretty comfortable because he's riding at a good pace.
Looking strong for sure as we take a look now back back to the Yamaha Racing live drone. Caught just sight of Jordan Ashburn and should be picking up your lead group here in just a moment. Back out in these open field sections. Really great for not only us as announcers, but for the viewers on racertv.com. Now, we were talking with Johnny earlier. In these open field sections, are you the kind of rider that's doing a lot of looking around, seeing who's in front, maybe who's behind, or are you the guy where it's like, hey, I'm worried about me and me only?
I'm usually just worried about me and me only, but it depends on where you are. You kind of know your position, so you might want to glance ahead and kind of check to see how much the guy in front of you has on you, or how much you have on the guy behind you. So it is nice when you come out in these opens and you do these back and forth, so you can kind of glance over and be like, okay, I got a little cushion, or I need to go.
Well, I'm telling you who's going right now is Johnny Gerard. I don't know if he's found an extra gear or what, but look at the gap. That was second, passing him going the opposite way, Jordan Ashburn. And even just a few camera shots before the commercial break, Ashburn was not that far back. So it really seems like Gerard has found some speed. And look at that great shot from the live drone. Massive gap between first place Johnny Gerard and second place Jordan Ashburn right now.
Yeah, no, he's definitely pulling it out, and I think he's probably getting pit boards about XC2 being in front of him on adjusted time, so I know he's with 2 to go, and now it's only a little over a lap and a half to go, so he's putting the hammer down and doing what Johnny does. He's getting away.
Putting the sprint speed to work. Go ahead, Jackson.
One thing worth mentioning about that XC2 class, not only is Grant Davis battling for the XC2 championship, he's sitting third right now in the overall points for the year. So you know that he wants to keep getting as many points as he can, get up there in that overall fight.
Yeah, without a doubt. The overall picture is just as important as those class titles, and all of these riders thinking about that, XC1 and XC2 included. Here we see Jordan Ashburn. Looks like slowing up a little bit more, going to try to hug that inside. I believe he was taking a little different line yesterday, or last lap. Basically just kind of barely clipping that little creek there.
Sometimes those berms are really good. On the outside, you got that little bit of cushion, and then they start getting blown out. So it's quicker to take the shorter route, and you got to tiptoe a little bit. You tiptoe on the inside and then get back going. So it's probably what he was doing there. Lines change every lap. It's insane for our type of racing, because you got 400 people out there, and everyone's taking different lines, so it forms different every lap.
Yeah, we saw that at that big hill climb. A lot of those guys pretty much full speed, wide open the first few laps, and now tiptoeing a little bit more. Looks like they're choosing a right-hand line. Have you gotten to go out to that big hill?
Yeah, no, I checked it out 2 years ago. It was the last time I ran it, and it actually kind of cost me the race. I got stuck on it and coast rode my bike to the top, and 2 laps in a row I was in the lead the first time I did it, and the second time I was back up to third or fourth and did it again. So that hill is tricky, so I'm sure it was good at the beginning. It deteriorated, and now they're trying to take some alternate lines. I haven't been out there lately, but early they were just hitting the main line, but it was losing all the soil and turning them into just roots.
So watching Gerard hop his way back into the woods, you can see the shadows in the shade, how big a difference it is from being out in the sunlight in those open fields to switching into the much darker wooded areas. That's got to play a little bit of a role as well. Now we see Gerard not having any goggles on right now, so having to adjust on the fly, but definitely probably something that you guys think about as far as the way the shadows are going to affect.
Yeah, no, for sure. Some people, like I run stock goggles, and we run the light-sensitive lens a lot of the time, because it'll change a little bit when you get in these darker sections. It'll lighten up, and when you get in the lighter sections, it'll darken. So we kind of do. That's what I do. But yeah, no, it'll mess with you a little bit. You know the track, but you gotta keep your eyes peeled sometimes. Oh, Liam moving up, getting past BK here.
Yeah, looks like Ben Kelly falling back just outside of the podium positions right now. So just goes to show, I mean, like we said, true hats off no matter what happens the rest of this race. Ben Kelly is back. He is looking good, feeling good. But Liam Draper shows, hey, he's
just right on Craig now.
And these two guys definitely, this is reminiscent of the end of last year for that championship title fight. So these guys, I think they were just that close a lap ago here as well. So not a whole lot of time change between the number 1 and the 5:14. And woo, hang on to it now.
That looked like Grant, I believe.
Yeah, I think that was Davis, because I believe Gus wears the hydration pack, and so did not see that for that Landers Racing KTM. So there looks to be Reardon.
It was one of them.
Because I think they're in the same gear too.
They look really close. They're teammates, and they look really close. And their bikes are pretty dirty right now. They've been getting roosted all day, and I think they've been in the XC1 battle. So that's why the front number plates are looking pretty dirty.
Yeah, those guys, whether you're leading or not in XC2, you're still eating a roost off of the XC1 crew, and they're working their way through it as well. So top-notch performance from your leaders in XC2. Here we see a solid run from Lyndon Snodgrass and Rui Barbosa. Those two have been in a battle for over a lap as well, and both of them got to be happy with their performance. Obviously, they'd like to be, in the top 5, up fighting for a podium as well, but definitely a good showing for both of those riders.
No doubt, they're right there. I mean, that top group is putting in such a pace right now, and for them to not be that far back and still in a great overall position, they got to be okay with that.
So now we're watching Gerard, kind of like you said, Ricky, just tiptoeing a little bit more, taking that extra 1/10 of a second to make sure that he's pivoted properly and not going to spin out. Whoa, using every inch of the track as he makes his way through the auxiliary pits. And we'll wait and see Jackson standing over there at the timing and scoring laptop. And white flag is out. 1 lap to go for your leader, Johnny Gerard. Going to try to do it one more time.
Johnny might have put in a real that push we saw just because he knew he's going to have to stop for goggles. He's not gonna, I don't think he's going to go a whole nother lap. He could. Johnny could do that. Johnny back in the day never wore goggles, but I would assume he's going to take a quick stop and maybe grab some goggles, but we will see.
Just to give you an idea of the lap times that last time around, Reardon a 31:37, Johnny Gerard a 31:05 when he came through that last time around. Reardon, obviously that was from the completion of lap 4. For Johnny, that's the completion of lap 5, but really dropped it down that time around.
Yeah, and that was the question when they came and took the 2-lap card was Johnny Gerard going to be able to drop that lap time once again? There we see Stu Baylor, and I did not see whether DeLong was in front or behind of him. Jackson maybe can see who has checked in so far. There we see DeLong. So yes, Baylor was able to make the move, and shouldn't be long before we expect to see your XC2 leader. And we'll get 100% confirmation on who it is and the lap time they're running. What are you seeing, Jackson?
Grant Davis just checked into timing and scoring, so now Johnny Gerard going to overtake the overall lead with that 31:05 lap time. Jordan Ashburn sitting in the 3rd place overall, 2nd in class. He turned a 31:08. Those two definitely going to be the fastest people on the track.
So just like that, the XC1 retakes the overall lead, and looks like they're holding 2 spots on the overall podium right now. But Grant Davis, throw whatever you want at him, get stuff caught in the rear wheel. The guy does not care. He leaves the throttle open, and he has not only overtaken or continued to be in a podium overall spot, but he has overtaken the lead for the XC2 class. So impressive performance for Davis right now. There you see Jordan Ashburn kind of hugging that inside. And if you're in this position, if you're Johnny Gerard, like you said, he's really put in a pace. He's opened up a bit of a gap. Be very curious to see whether or not he takes goggles. I'm very interested to see.
I'm surprised he's not got goggles already, to be honest. I'm surprised that there's not been a mechanic in the woods that had a set to give him. Possibly not wanting to stop to take him.
Yeah, maybe people, he probably shaking him off for now, and he wants to get that little bit of a gap before, because he doesn't want to lose his position. You lose his position, it's going to be pretty hard to get it back. I mean, he could, but you don't want to take that chance. So he's probably trying to get a little bit of cushion and maybe grab some goggles, or who knows with Johnny, he's a loud man, he might just go the whole next lap.
Well, just squint and hope for the best, right? Johnny Gerard putting in an impressive performance right now. Now, obviously, you do pit practice, you do fuel stops, refuel stops. Do you guys kind of have a practice routine as far as taking goggles real quick? Do you have it down to where you know it only takes a second or two?
Yeah, everyone's got their own technique. I usually some people like to grab them themselves and put them on. I usually like to have someone, especially if I'm not pitting, someone just hold them out stretched and kind of get them on my helmet, and then if I have to adjust them while I'm going, that's usually my thing. But everyone does it a little differently. That's just kind of how I've always done it, and I like it when someone puts them on for me. But yeah, it only takes a second or two. Does he have some on? No.
I didn't see any. And to your point, it only takes a second or two when it's done right. Yeah. And that is the thing, is we've seen that before where riders, they're weighing the risks. Do I want to stop? And then once you stop, you've already committed. So you've got to finish. You've got to go ahead and put the goggles on. But how many seconds is it going to cost you, especially when Jordan Ashburn is running a very similar lap time and trying to track you down? There we saw Liam Draper with Ben Kelly still hot on his heels for that final podium position. That is the battle for the final spot on the box for the XC1 class.
Yeah, it's looking like Johnny and Ashburn are kind of getting away a little bit, and them two are going to be a real battle for that final podium spot. There's the hill climb we were just talking about.
Yeah,
looks like they just went right up it pretty well.
And you saw that little divot right before they really committed to the uphill, and that wasn't there on lap number 1. So, like you said, a couple hundred bikes going through lap after lap, things are bound to change.
Yeah, they're getting off the gas right before it and then getting on it really hard at the bottom, and that's what's just digging a hole. So every time they get on it, it'll throw a little bit of soil out, and now they got a little bump hole there. But I think they're all getting up at the main line pretty cleanly.
Yeah, it looked like a little bit of different line choices there, seeing Ashburn go farther over to the right than the rest of the riders did. Ashburn, the one getting caught up there on lap number 1, so possibly finding a way around whatever took him out there.
I was there and I got to watch that. Johnny actually messed up, and Ashburn kind of jumped into the back of him, so it hung him up, and then Mike Witowski jumped in the back of him. It was kind of just a pile-up all from actually Johnny's mistake, so maybe it was technique.
Strategy.
Yeah, but no, everyone got back going afterwards, and they didn't lose too much time.
So we'll wait. Your leader should be popping back out here at the 3-mile marker. Jackson, you were out there a little bit earlier. It might look easy, especially when somebody like Johnny Gerard goes down at that speed, but it is treacherous headed down that hill.
Yeah, go watch the rest of the crew try to make it down that hill. It's not quite the same show that you see right now.
It's much steeper than it looks on camera, like always.
Without a doubt. And those rocks, too, down at the bottom especially. You can see some of the riders, the front end really skating as they try to get it turned. So Liam Draper.
Looks like Liam has lost his goggles as well, I think. It's hard to see, but.
And putting maybe a bike length or two between himself and Ben Kelly. Not necessarily worried about Kelly showing him a wheel on the inside anywhere or anything like that. So Draper continuing to put the pace down and hold on to that third place spot for now in XC1.
Yeah, that would be so awesome for him to get podium on his first XC1 race. There's Stu Baylor.
How about that, boys?
He's charging.
Yep.
We know it's last lap, and he's putting the hammer down.
Well, we think about it, just before that uphill camera shot, Craig DeLong was right on his rear wheel. So that just shows how much the pace has risen for Stu Baylor. And, I mean, Ricky, you said it. You guys know that this is what was going to happen. We see the 922 of Grant Davis. But you guys kind of, by this point, you know each other in the XC1 class. You know how one another's rides. And you know that late in the race, Stu Baylor's going to be charging.
Yeah, especially if he's a little bit down somewhere because he had some issues early on. He's going to even put that charge on even more. And early on, he was pretty far back. So I was a little bit worried. But, yeah, he's doing the typical last 2-lap charge, and he's not too far off, so we will see. But he's running out of time.
Yeah, absolutely. The clock continuing to tick, 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 and making moves as best he can. We did see Gus Reardon come down the hill not long after Grant Davis, so still up running and looks to be healthy. I didn't see anything bent on the bike or anything like that, so you know he's going to be charging forward to try to catch back up to his teammate and not only try to fight for the lead in class, but to try to get back up on the overall podium. Here we see Lyndon Snodgrass. Looks like he has maybe stretched things out just a little bit between himself and the 14 of Rui Barbosa, who you just saw on the Honda. Starting to have what was one giant group break off into little clusters, and so 2 riders here, 3 riders there.
Yeah, with it being the last lap, it's like it's all for everything. Everyone's getting after it, and they're going to give it their all. So that last lap, everyone gets that little bit of spacing here and there, but yeah, people are latching on to each other. So you got these little groups.
And then you have these big gaps that are starting to open up as well. Here we see Josh Strang. Little different line there, moving over to the left-hand side of the track for Strang. Actually kind of looks like it set him up pretty well for that next corner.
Yeah, it's drying out a little bit in these type of places where the sun's hitting and kind of out in the open. So probably a little bit slicker as they're sliding down that dry slick.
Finally seeing the sun come out today. Yes. It's heating up out there, a lot warmer, probably 5-10 degrees at least than what we saw most of the day here. Had cloud coverage for most of the day. Now the sun is really starting to come out during this race.
Seeing Wachowski and Barnes. Looks like Cody Barnes has actually made his way around Mike Wachowski. So the 2 Phoenix Racing Honda guys pretty much neck and neck and trying to catch up to the other teammate of Rui Barbosa.
Yeah, Cody Barnes having a great XC2 ride. I mean, you got those top two that are just on another level right now, but Cody's kind of been riding alone, but with the other XC1 guys, so really cool to see him. He's still in a podium spot, and hopefully he can hold on to it.
And I don't know if you saw the start, but Cody was down and was run over by at least one bike straight up in that first corner, so things did not start his way. So like we said, an extremely impressive performance. And Johnny talked about this earlier. When you have a crash or a mistake, especially early in the race, it's either going to demoralize you or it's going to fire you up, and it looks like the 99 is fired up and charging forward.
Yeah, that's good to see. That's exactly what Johnny, he's right on the money. You're either going to be down on yourself and kind of just struggle all day, or you're going to just take it for fire and give it your all because of it. It gets you amped up. Oh, he's taking a drink, but I did not see goggles.
Wow, so Gerard looking comfortable. Looks like, I think you're right, Ricky. He's shaking them off, yeah. We did see a little look back over the shoulder, wanted to see who was back there and how far he had. Back to business.
Yeah, I think maybe sometimes the shadows are pretty bad in the woods, and the black dirt and the rocks blend in, and maybe he's just liking it without the goggles. It's a little bit more scary when you're going through roost and whatnot, but he's out front, so I never like to not have goggles on, so. But still, maybe that's just, it's not worth it to him. But it's looking like he's got a good little cushion. I mean, not enough to say it's done, but a decent cushion. He could have got goggles.
Yeah, he can't afford a huge mistake, but he also doesn't need to push any harder than he absolutely has to. And to your point, it also doesn't seem like the lap traffic is as much of an issue here. What were you seeing?
Liam and Ben really aren't that far off of Ben Kelly, or
Jordan Ashburn, yeah.
So they're all they're obviously all pushing it, but they're not that far. I mean, one mistake, one crash, and they're by the other guy. So.
Well, and even a very small tip over, like what we saw with Ashburn earlier, that's just a couple of seconds, 4 or 5, and it looks like Gerard also got something caught up in the wheel.
Yeah, definitely seeing something.
Yeah,
it's hard to say. It kind of looked like white banner, but yeah, I'm not fully sure.
Little bit of debris doesn't, at least at the moment, appear to be affecting him too much.
Kind of just looks like it on everyone. I wonder if they're going through a little mud right there.
Yeah,
and putting it on one side of the tire.
Yeah, because it looked very similar for Draper as well. So we definitely know that Davis had something in his wheel earlier. But, yeah, it'd be pretty odd for 3 of our top riders to all wind up with something in their rear wheel. But stranger things have happened. It's GNCC.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm assuming it was just a little mud section, and kind of just the mid of the tire looked like it had mud on it on the side.
Seems like for the most part, these riders have been able to pick their way through lap traffic relatively well. We saw Gerard get little close with one of those lap riders, probably said, hey, how you doing? But besides that, haven't seen any huge groups of riders that they're having to come to all at once.
Yeah, when I was out there watching, I was actually surprised everyone's pretty spaced out, and it wasn't, lappers didn't look to be terrible today. So some races we get pretty bad, and it ruins some people's races throughout them. They crash with lappers. So it looked, everything that I looked like everyone was pretty spaced out and doing a good job at getting out of the way.
Always nice when the top guys are able to just focus on their thing and give their best effort, not have to worry about anybody else interfering with the race. There you see Ricky Towery waving that white flag. 1 lap left to go here, folks, for the Canati Tires Buckwheat 100. And, man, it's been action-packed up to this. Every lap has had position changes, whether it's in the XC1 or XC2 or the overall picture. And can't help but expect more of the same here on the final lap. Johnny Gerard, though, trying to keep it consistent, keep the same guy up front after lap 2, and bring home another win on the season. I mean, this year has really been the year of Johnny Gerard. Even when he's not up at the top, he's still putting in very solid finishes. Here you see Jordan Ashburn, another quietly stellar ride, and he's trying to bring this thing for a podium finish here today. And then the new kid, Liam Draper.
He's right there.
Yeah.
It's really awesome to see.
Yeah, and that's not just hanging out in third place. That is still chasing.
He's chasing. He's pulling a little on Ben Kelly there. Looks like they're all jumping over that thing. Stu was jumping over, and yeah.
And it sounds, so Stu Baylor right here, second in the championship, and about 45 seconds or so are being told off of the leader, which is crazy because he does seem relatively far back. I don't know if anybody's launching it quite as hard as Stu is, but nonetheless, he's not out of it. We have seen minutes disappear. It is the last lap. We're here at the Monster Mile, mile number 5, so as if the clock wasn't ticking before, if he's going to go, he's got to mount a charge right now. Here you see Grant Davis, your new XC2 leader, and actually looks like he has shaken all of that debris out of the rear wheel. We get a great shot of it right there.
A little bit of blue, but yeah, it's not bad.
So it just goes to show that's why you don't give up here, and you don't panic when something happens. Davis staying cool, calm, and collected, and making sure that he's not giving anything up if he doesn't have to. There you see Gus Reardon not far behind, and it looks like Gus has been able to get around Craig DeLong. So DeLong shuffling back a position here, 5-mile mark. And then we got that gap.
Craig won this race last year, so I'm sure he's not stoked with how things are going this last 2 laps, but he's still, what's he sitting? It's 8th overall, so not a bad ride, but yeah, I'm sure he's a little bummed because he led it start to finish last year.
Crazy how things can change from one year to another.
Well, you were just talking about Johnny this year, and man, he's really picked it up. He was a every now and then possible podium guy last year, and now he's on another level. He's got pretty much all wins and second places.
Well, and just the overall season as well. I mean, you talk about the first 7 races, 7 different winners, and then this year it's like, man, Johnny Gerard, he's shutting all that down. He does not want multiple winners, and it has certainly stayed fun to watch as well, though. While there is a decent gap between Gerard and Baylor, we've had some great fights, some bad luck getting involved with things as well, where riders were in great positions and couldn't bring it all the way to the checkered flag, but nonetheless, a huge shakeup between 2023 and 2024. We see Josh Strang back on the beta, but the battle is up front. Johnny Gerard leads the way after lap 2. He has taken over, but it's the Coastal Racing Gas of Jordan Ashburn trying to chase him down. Almost ran an identical lap time on the last lap. There you see him charging down the 3-mile mark. Pushing hard, still clearly got the endurance. He's not giving up. He knows that this race is anything but over. We're going to see how it shakes out and how it finishes here at the Canati Tires Buckwheat 100.
I'm Jordan Ashburn, and you're watching GNCC Live at RacerTV.com.
We've been there since the very beginning.
20 left, the main event, the Mud, the Blood, the Bear.
Organizing the industry and building champions. "100 years of defending your rights to ride into the future."
Community, family, teamwork. It's what we have stood on for over a decade. Hauling might be what we do at the surface, but it's much deeper than that. Because what you need matters. When you need a haul, give us a call at 724-852-4488. For 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, we at JD Enterprises are prepared to serve you.
It takes commitment, passion, and endurance to make something great.
aggression.
And welcome back, GNCC Live here on RacerTV.com. Got us a good one going on. Johnny Gerard finally out in front. In this one, it was Angus Reardon, Grant Davis in there. As a matter of fact, just off air, Johnny, I was asking Ricky Russell. He had to make his exit. He wants to go cheer on Liam Draper. But I said, Ricky, like, hey, what's the deal with these XC2 guys this year, man? I'm like, in years past, they hang with you for an hour, but this year has been different. He's like, man, I don't know. He gave credit to Grant Davis. He gave credit to Angus Reardon, and he's like, they've been pushing one another. They get into the mix with the XC1 guys, and that's just how it's been this year. So getting high praise from an XC1 pro, Ricky Russell. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and, it's got to be frustrating for these XC1 guys, but at the same time, like, you kind of look at it as like, hey, man, the future of the sport is bright, but I wish they weren't chomping at our heels right now.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, it's been this way for years early in the races, but for them to go this long into it, this deep into it, and still be in the mix for overall podium positions, it's not something we've seen often. And even, obviously Josh Toth, who got an overall earlier this year, a former XC1 rider, so he kind of knows that pace. He knows how to manage his energy and kind of meter himself throughout the race. Some of the XC2 guys, it seems like, are kind of bottle rockets at the beginning, a lot of speed, and then kind of fizzle out. But yeah, man, Grant Davis and Angus Reardon all year long, man, they've just been solid.
It's been fun to watch. Well, before we wrap this one up, we wanted to give you guys the recap from the Buckwheat 100 last year. We're going to take a look at that specialized race recap from 2023. This was a wild one. Boy, from the start, a look back. Things looking a little different last year. Obviously, a little drier conditions. Look at our guys jockeying for position. A couple guys getting tangled up right there. And it was the 3-4-2 at the time on his championship hunt. That was Craig DeLong leading it out in front early.
Yeah, and we had giving chase Ricky Russell on that 212 was just in the booth with us. And also Ryder Lafferty was absolutely on rails throughout much of this race. We won't spoil it. We'll let you watch the recap. But he was just there and there and there. But this was a rough day for this man.
Yeah, this was frustrating for Stu, frustrating to watch, and this was a bad day to be a support for the awning at the pits.
and that was really, and there you see Ryder
that was
Lafferty,
the season, really.
Yeah, still sitting there so close to Craig DeLong, and honestly right down into the last lap, still there, still fighting for a podium position there in the number 2 spot. Ricky Russell looking strong on that Ampro Yamaha, and missing from the mix was Stu Baylor, and as you pointed out, that was it. That was kind of curtains on the 2023 championship hunt. Craig DeLong grabbing the win. Honestly, was in that position. It was not handed to him. There we see Josh Strang up on the podium as well as Ricky Russell. A little chillier. You see the guys in a coat. Definitely a little warmer here this weekend, even though the temps have cooled down today. But yeah, man, that was an iconic scene. Stu Baylor just kind of letting his frustrations out, letting the true emotions of chasing this GNCC championship since he was a small kid. And he said it himself. He's running out of opportunities. 43 points behind Johnny Gerard coming into today. Today was an opportunity to make up some points. So far, he is running solidly. He's moving his way up, getting a little closer, but still running back in that 5th place spot in the XC1 class, and even further back in the overall. Johnny Gerard, that's going to be a big points day for him today. That's another huge blow to Stu Baylor's championship hopes.
It is, and beating a dead horse, there's no reason to rub it in for Stu. But as you look at the last. Really, since the Caleb Russell era, it has been the guy who is the most consistent throughout the season. At this point, it's like, man, if you want a championship in that XC1 class, you really can't afford to be off the podium. Or if you are, it better be a 4, at the very, very least a 5.
Yeah, and really the tail of the points gap right now is that 15th place finish that Stu had at round 7. I don't have the points in front of me anymore, but I do remember that that was kind of where things kind of went off the rails for him. It was much closer up until then. Johnny Gerard, if you look through it, his worst finish, a 3rd. Here is Gerard on screen, looking like he is still charging, but just behind him, it is the 198 of Liam Draper, who's taken away the number 2 spot now from Jordan Ashburn. So there are your top 3 wheel to wheel to wheel, and they are starting to distance themselves right now from the 530 of Ben Kelly. Still in the fight, but just something happened there. Ben dropped back from that 2nd place spot back to 4th. Maybe just a small tip over, but right now the intensity is so high, the pace so high, that they just can't seem to match the the intensity of the top 3. But here it is. Stu Baylor on a charge in the number 5 spot, has gotten around those XC2 class leaders of Grant Davis and Angus Reardon up into the number 5 spot. He's still got some time to make up on those guys, though, if he wants to end up in that top 5 or potentially top 3 overall. Again, running out of time. 5 laps complete. We know it's a 6-lap race. The white flag has already waved. So this is it. This is the final miles. He's got to make up some ground and make some passes.
Yes,
now we see your XC2 leader on screen, and it is Grant Davis, Playboy, as they're calling him.
Oh, that's right. I did know that.
He's got a new nickname, and he's out there and just looking smooth, has able to now open up a small gap over Angus Reardon, still in the number 2 spot back there. We do believe that is not Angus, but should be on screen. Really rode a masterful race through the first 5 laps, 4+ laps of this race here today, and then Grant Davis able to wrestle the lead away, and now opening up a little bit bigger of a gap as we get closer to the completion of our final lap of racing.
So interesting race weekend. Welcome back to a GNCC on the ATV side and the two-wheel side. There is what's that, Angus Reardon? Yes. A little mud on that front number plate, but interesting race if you look at it on paper. But not over yet. But Johnny Gerard looking like he's going to take the win in this one. You would say, okay, yeah, that's kind of expected, but that was not really the tail of this. I gotta hand it to Liam Draper. I don't know what his expectation was really inside his head. What he said was, I want to go out and see where I stack up, as Craig DeLong coming through right here. But if you're Liam Draper, if you end up keep it on the podium today, he has got to be elated. Johnny, is that just maybe jumping up to the bigger bike? We see this from some guys sometimes. They perform better on the bigger bike.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible, and we're talking about Liam potentially holding on to a podium. I mean, number one, I think that would far exceed, I don't want to say anyone's expectations as far as what he's capable of, but that's a lofty goal to set with all the competitors basically healthy. I think really the only person we're missing right now is Grant Baylor.
Right.
I believe, unless I'm missing someone.
Ryder Lafferty.
Ricky
Russell.
Well.
But yes.
Yeah, but I meant in terms of Ricky Russell here, I guess.
Sure.
And Ryder Lafferty not with us this weekend. I think he is actually pedaling around. But, those top guys, they're out there in they're so tough to beat. And for Liam Draper just to jump in right in the mix and put himself right at the front, whether he ends up on the podium, off the podium, and let's not take out of the realm of possibility, he's right behind Johnny Gerard.
You're absolutely
the win is still in play here for him, for Ricky Russell, honestly, for Ben Kelly and Stu Baylor. All these guys are still close enough with, one little miscue by any of these guys. We're still trading positions and trading paint.
Yeah, that's it. It impressed me, Liam Draper, off the start. I thought in my head, Liam's going to have a good start. He was a great starter in the XC3 class back in the day when he first came over. He was a fantastic starter in the XC2. I thought he's going to be in that mix early, but I did not see him hanging there like this into that third hour, knocking on the door of a podium, let alone a real threat right now for an overall win. And there it is in front of us.
Yeah, and there it is. That is the battle for the win coming down to the final miles of racing. Now, keep in mind, these guys have been racing each other all year long in the same class in the Sprint Enduro Series. And this is about how they're matched normally, but Liam Draper there in the number 2 spot. He's normally racing Johnny Gerard in that series, at least on the clock. Right now, he's physically seeing this guy that he normally has to race as a phantom right there in front of him. He's queuing off him. He's trying to square him up. But Johnny Gerard at this point has an answer for everything Liam Draper throws at him. But, man, impressive XC1 debut for Liam Draper.
It's looking very reminiscent of when we went into the summer break at Snowshoe. Gerard out in front. It was Grant Baylor in that 2 spot, throwing everything at him but the kitchen sink. And Gerard, little faster through this section right here, puts on a little bit of a gap and gets a bit of breathing room.
Yeah, not much. I mean, just
and
enough.
Now here comes Liam.
Yeah, just enough that obviously he doesn't really have to worry about Liam kind of running it in on the inside or getting a drive around him on the outside. Liam Draper sending it down that downhill, but then you can see he's got to take that wider line. It's a give and a take. It's a game of inches at this point. Every time Johnny Gerard pulls away just a few knobby lengths, honestly, Liam Draper able to answer. Whoa, that was a sketchy moment for Liam there. You could tell both these guys on the limit, giving it everything they have, and this is what we love to see.
Yeah, those guys sending it over to that bridge right there.
Yeah, and still Jordan Ashburn right there in the number 3 spot, just trying to make up inches like we talked about. At this point, it's not even, they don't need a stopwatch. They don't need a pit board. They can see they're just trying to claw and clamor for any gains and losses that they can get, and it's just absolutely all out right now.
All out, getting down to the nitty-gritty here. Next time they check in, we'll be getting the checkered flag from Ricky Towery. And it is looking like Gerard, Draper, and Ashburn. In what order? We'll find out.
It is still Gerard out front. They disappear into the woods, come out. Gap still about the same, but look at the fans just going absolutely crazy, cheering
Tarps
both
off.
these guys on. See a lot of blue out there. This has been the closest that the Ampro Yamaha team has been to a win yet this year for the overall. And again, we do still have to keep an eye on Grant Davis, and Angus Reardon's dropped back a bit. But as they run, it looks like Liam Draper and Johnny Gerard and Jordan Ashburn also setting a pace quick enough that we think they're starting to outrun Grant Davis, but he was only last lap 3 seconds behind on a lap's time. So even when Johnny Gerard or Liam Draper or Jordan Ashburn cross the finish line first, we're still going to have to wait for our XC2 leaders to come through just to solidify, to make sure that these are in fact the correct overall positions.
Very good point. So Gerard out in front, Liam Draper in that number 2 spot, and there is Jordan Ashburn now in that number 3 position as they dip back into the woods and out of sight.
Next, we should see Ben Kelly, and there he is, the 5:30. What a great return to racing.
Yes.
You know, just a lap ago, up there in the number 2 spot. Don't know what set him back, but man, you know, when you're off the bike that long, when you're not racing for that long, to be that much up in the mix towards the front really shows just how strong he is and just how hard he's pushing. There was Stu Baylor through, so that is now your 5th place rider through physically on the racetrack. And although fighting and clawing, just not able to make up any ground here in the latter stages of this final lap on the riders in front of him.
Yeah, not the day Stu needed this late in the season.
Yeah, and that's it. And this is another one of those times, I hate to say it, but points-wise, those XC2 guys could loom so large.
Oh, yes.
You know, I mean, there's bonus points for your top 4 positions. Right now, Stu Baylor sitting in 5th, so missing out on any of those bonus points and even potentially being pushed further back depending on where Grant Davis and also Angus Reardon come in. So worst case scenario for Stu at this point, as it looks like they run on track, would be if Johnny Gerard grabs the win and he ends up coming across the line physically 5th, but getting 7th in the overall. A huge points loss, already 43 points down. You know, you don't give away these championships until it's mathematically over, but that would be a massive blow in this championship hunt for Steve Miller and that Red Bear Rocky Mountain ATV MC team.
Quite a bit. Well, Johnny Gerard has preached the, hey, I'm focused on the long term this season. Wins are awesome, but I want to make sure I'm putting myself in a good position with podiums, and he has done just that. Like, guys,
yeah, man,
he's, to the finish.
he's going for a podium today. He's just the middle spot.
Yes, that's it. The center spot on the box is even better. Crowd gathering around the finish line now, waiting for Johnny Gerard, Liam Draper, Jordan Ashburn to make their way there. There is Gerard.
Not yet.
No.
Nope.
There is a rider that is hoping to maybe get one more lap in, although he's slowing up. Maybe he says, you know what, no, I'm content.
No, that's not me.
Come get me.
I would be taking a look back over and saying, how far is this guy right here? And this is it, folks. The final corners. Mikey, I'll let you take it from here.
Johnny Gerard, he has been stellar. Most wins on the season out of anybody. He's won the last 2 coming into the summer break. Out of summer break, first day of September, and he is going to look like, as he goes through the auxiliary pits right here, stays perfect. Where is Liam, by the way?
Johnny Gerard.
Okay, Johnny Gerard, 969, little slagways to take one out of the Zach Heron playbook. And Johnny Gerard will take your checkered flag here at the Buckwheat 100.
And you saw, even when he opened up that little gap over Liam, and now Liam crossing the line, those guys pushing themselves for every second because they know they're not only racing each other. Guys, we got to watch the clock.
That's
Grant
correct.
Davis, 3 seconds back. It did look from our camera shots like he had given up a little bit of additional time, but we don't make those calls based off of feel. We wait to let the electronic scoring do its job. Jordan Ashburn crossing the line physically 3rd overall and 3rd in the XC1 class. We're waiting to watch. There is Ben Kelly now 4th. He is in that XC1 class. Great day for Ben there as well. He's asking, who won? I was in it until I wasn't, but we'll get a tale from him hopefully at some point as to exactly how it all went down. You can see all these guys, good, clean racing, a lot of fist bumps, a lot of smiles, a lot of head nods, and man, you could just tell these guys are glad to be back GNCC racing.
Absolutely. And you see the crowd gathered around Liam right there, and rightfully so. Is this Grant Davis? Yes, it is. So Davis checks in. What do we got, Johnny Gallagher, as Davis takes the checkered flag?
Grant Davis, your overall winner by 2 seconds. He edges out Johnny Gerard for the overall win for the 2nd time ever and the 2nd time in 2024. Grant Davis takes the overall win.
Are you kidding me? It had never happened in GNCC history. We had it happen in Georgia. Josh Toth taking an overall win, but it was an abbreviated day, Johnny. We ran a 2-hour race due to weather. Today, Grant Davis does it in a full, 3 hour and 1 minute, I think, officially on the clock for him. That is a young man absolutely exerted, and the Playboy gets it done.
You want to talk about close. Coming in those final miles, looked like Grant Davis had given up some time. He was at a 3-second deficit. He ran on that last lap a 31.19 to Johnny Girard's 31.23. Credit to Liam Draper, the final lap, the fastest lap by over 12 seconds. Liam Draper, 31.07. But regardless of the gaps, Grant Davis getting it done. There we see Angus Reardon coming across the line in the number 2 spot in that XC2, ultimately slotting himself into 7th in the overall. Stu Baylor has checked in 6th place overall, 5th place in that XC1 Pro. So he did get the additional points by coming in ahead of Angus Reardon. That sprint to the finish for him, paying off with 1 additional point. But actually, what we were talking about, possibly Grant Davis playing the spoiler between Johnny Girard and Stu Baylor, not today. Right. He takes max points. He takes the 30, ultimately taking an additional 5 points from Johnny Girard. So Stu Baylor may want to go and give Grant Davis a high five and say, hey, thanks, buddy. You helped me out a little bit in this championship.
That's true. Quite contrary to what happened earlier this season when he snuck in there on an OA and bumped Stu down a bit. But the 9:22 out of the XC2 class on the adjusted time, Grant Davis going to take the overall. Zach Heron standing by, waiting to get that interview.
This is going to be a good one, I can tell you right now.
Trying to get some water back in the system here, clean off the face. You look good, bro. You've earned it. All that sweat.
Playboy's got to look good. He's got to look good.
Take it away, Zach.
Hey, guys, when you are only the 2nd XC2 rider in history to grab the overall win, you got to make sure the face is clean. Grant Davis, you get the job done. So cool to see kind of the confusion. You came across the line. That's what everybody was asking. Did I get it? Did I get it? The word came through, man. You got the job done. How good does it feel?
Honestly, it feels amazing right now. I can't believe this even is happening. I mean, getting on the overall podium and all is cool, but to win it, that's just a whole different story. And I actually came into this race with a 3rd-degree separation and a pinched nerve in my shoulder. And I was struggling them last 2 laps. I couldn't even hang on, and I just kept falling over, and I was like, you got to be kidding me. And I kept getting pit boards saying I was right there, and I was so squirrely the last couple sections. I had like no rear brakes the whole race, and then I was definitely on the edge.
Yeah, we were going to talk about it. Camera, if you want to take a look at the back tire here, you've got some banner wrapped up in it. We were curious whether or not you could feel what was going on. So pretty much no back brakes, some shoulder issues as well, but you threw all that out the window, man. You found out the overall win was in grasp, and you went and grabbed it, man. Congratulations. Overall, what does this do for the mindset? Not only can you get up on the overall box, but you can be the top guy here at GNCC.
Oh, I had confidence before, but now it's even higher. It's to the roof right now. I know that.
Hey, you're going to need a new helmet size, right?
Yeah, I definitely am after this year.
Hey, you've deserved it, man. Get a little big-headed, get that confidence. I know you've got great people helping you out, man. Who helped you get this job done?
FMF KTM Factory Racing Team Landers. My mechanic, Andy's got this bike dialed every race. WP suspension. Caleb Russell for everything he does for me. Steve and Denise Hatch and my whole family and everybody. And Moose, X-Sprint, Alpine Star, and everybody else I forgot.
There it is, guys. The XC2 on top here at the Canati Tires Buckwheat 100. Grant Davis, your overall winner.
Well, there you go, Mikey. I was going to let him say it. Yeah. Earlier this week, I was down in North Carolina, stopped by the Ranch Russell training facility. Grant and Brandy Richards were there, and Grant was riding, but he wasn't riding. He was just getting back to riding, and he was pretty much, said, hey, man, we've hit the ground a lot here lately. Shoulder's not good. It's separated, but I'm able to ride. Just need to salvage points. 30 away.
Some points.
Win that XC2 class and the overall. Only the 2nd rider in history ever to get that feat accomplished. And what a day for Grant Davis. Johnny Girard, still great day for him as well. He's going to be a little disappointed. 2 seconds. Sure. But at this point, taking that 43-point gap, we'll have to run some numbers here. But with him finishing 2nd, that's 25 points. Stu Baylor finishing in that number 6 spot. So that would be 15 points. So another 10. 53 points now should be, give or take, I'm doing quick math on the fly, it should be a 53-point gap going into round number 11 when we come back here in just 2 weeks of racing. We'll head over to another part of West Virginia at the Mountaineers. So that one definitely not decided yet, but that gap opening up just a little bit more.
Johnny, the big thing for Gerard is, if nothing else, you want that overall win, no doubt, but he did exactly what he needed to do. He needed to finish in front of Stu Baylor, and he did that today.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see that big crowd of blue up there. Obviously, a lot of excitement with Grant Davis coming in and taking that overall, but big shout out to a lot of these guys that had great rides today, and I think we're actually ready with our XC1 winner and second place overall, Johnny Gerard.
Yeah, guys, I'm down here with Johnny Gerard. Johnny, you were first in class, second on the overall by just 2 seconds, man. Take us through your day of racing here.
Yeah, man, I got a good hole shot, second place with Liam Draper, and yeah, I was sick. We were just cruising and had some pressure from Jordan Ashburn and kind of rode out front, but not in first overall. The XC2 guys were ripping, and yeah, I found myself first overall, and then I guess made a couple mistakes that last lap, honestly. I got sweat in my goggles and had to rip them off, and I kind of bonked out there, honestly. I had a rough night last night and just couldn't sleep. I think I went to bed at 3:30, woke up at 10, and I knew it was going to be a long day. Yeah, no excuses, but Grant Davis rode sick, and yeah, I gave it all I had out there. So it's a good day.
It sure was a good day. Johnny, you extended your points lead even more now. You got a good points lead going into the next round. How you feel going into the rest of the season?
Good, I feel awesome. Yeah, like you said, through the points lead, and kind of taking the pressure off little by little, but not really. This is a war out here, and a lot can happen in 3 hours, and never mind 9. So yeah, just keep pushing, keep putting our best foot forward, and try to finish the season strong.
The man gives it his all every time. That's the second overall, Johnny Gerard.
So OPAG, our producer Adam Gordon, confirming 53 points.
That's good math, Johnny.
Math on the fly works out right. This is all I've done all my life, man. I can do math when it comes to GNCC points pretty quickly. That said, I mean, it's not over, but it's starting to open up the gap.
Yeah.
53 points, still 90 on the board, far from over.
Oh, yeah.
We saw a big swing in the points yesterday on ATV day.
Correct.
Anything can happen, but like Johnny said, taking the pressure off little by little, then he backed that up and said, nah, actually, just kidding. Didn't take any pressure off at all. A lot can happen in 3 hours.
That's it. Yeah. So maybe Johnny Gerard watched the race yesterday, and that's why he lost some sleep watching that ATV race, saying, "Ooh, nothing is guaranteed." As we are waiting to get that interview set up here with Liam Draper, and crowd all around him, rightfully so, as we're trying to get in there and get an interview.
All right, guys, we are down here with Liam Draper. Man, Liam, what a ride here today. Take us through getting third overall.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I was super nervous, being my first XC1 race, but got a whole shot and was leading these boys. I looked back in the field, and they were all in a train behind me. It's like I was about to get mowed over, but I was pretty stoked to lead for a few laps, and then had a crash and went down and caught right up to Johnny on the last lap, and me and Jordan had a battle towards the end, so pretty stoked on it.
What were you thinking when you're leading your first XC1 race around through there, man? What's the emotions going through your head?
I don't know if I was riding too slow or what, but I felt like I had a good pace going, and then I knew it was on when we went around turn 3 and Johnny gave me the wave, so pretty stoked on it.
Liam, can we expect you in the XC1 class from now on?
Yeah, I will be finishing this year and the next few years in XC1.
All right, well, how are we feeling going in these next few rounds?
Yeah, excited. I like the rocks, so hopefully we can keep this going.
All right, everybody, that is Liam Draper, your third overall here on his XC1 debut.
Johnny, I don't think it's sunk in yet for Liam Draper just how monumental today was.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge day for him, obviously. First race in XC1, right to the front. I mean, battled for the lead. You can't even say throughout the race, all the way to the final corners, really. Yeah. And it's just been fun to watch. It was an exciting day for him, and really got to bolster his confidence a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll sink in for him, I have no doubt. Waiting to get an interview set up here with our third in the XC1, Jordan Ashburn. And it looks like the fellas got it ready. All right, take it away, Jackson Burrell.
Yeah, I'm down here with Jordan Ashburn, your third place in the XC1 class. Jordan, a great ride here today. Take us through your day.
Yeah, I got a decent start and just charged hard all day and made a mistake on the hill the first lap, lost up a couple positions when I went back to, I think, 6th. And, man, it was so hard to make positions back out there. And XC2 came up on us, and they were in the overall all day, and they just kept giving us pit boards, keep pushing. And, yeah, that's what we did. Everybody stayed together, and we were just freight training, and nobody could really get away. And, yeah, tried to ride a mistake-free race, and Liam got me back the last lap. But I'm happy with my riding today, and, yeah, good day.
Jordan, how you feel going into these final few rounds?
Good. I had a good summer and did a lot of good training and come back strong and ready to be on the podium the next 3 rounds and kind of just show where we need to be. And, yeah, it's awesome.
We're looking forward to it. That is Jordan Ashburn, your 3rd place in the XC1 class.
Well, yeah, solid day for Jordan Ashburn. I like that at the end there, Johnny. He said, let's put this thing on the box these last 3 rounds.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're Jordan, obviously winning a championship just over a year ago, 2 years ago now, and coming back, and he's always in the fight.
Yeah.
He was there. He put pressure on early today. He put pressure on late. Every time you think they have his number, he just fights. And even Ricky Russell in here talking about he just wants it. He just keeps fighting for it.
Yeah, absolutely. The man's never going to give up. Specialized race recap. Boy, welcome to the XC1 class. The 198 Liam Draper grabs that whole shot by about a bike's length. And like I said earlier, Johnny, I expected to see Liam Draper have a good start. I definitely underestimated just how good it would be.
Yeah, I mean, he came out. He's always a quick starter in that XC2 class as well. That machine fired right up. He went to the front, set a good pace for nearly 2 laps, and then Johnny Gerard just deciding he wanted a little bit more. But we saw so much of this today. I mean, riders side by side battling. Here we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 riders in a shot, kind of all entering and exiting a corner with just a few more right behind. I mean, it was such good battling, such close racing all day today.
Yeah, these guys, absolute freight train, a little nerve-wracking. As you mentioned, you've been there, Johnny, in these situations, a nerve-wracking situation because you have one mistake, you lose a few positions. Little bit of drama right here. I think this ended up being kind of a non-factor for Stu. Thankfully, that could have been a lot worse than what it looked like there for a split second. And then through that FMF PowerPoint, there is the 969 Johnny Gerard taking the lead. Kind of quietly back there, or not so quietly, I guess, was the XC2 guys who were running away from the rest of the XC2 pack and into that washout right there by Ashburn. Quick to get back on that machine, though. That was impressive.
Yeah, and that was kind of the point where Jordan seemed like he almost started charging harder once he got up from that little get-off. And then it was the FMF Red Bull KTM teammates out front of Johnny Gerard leading the way with heavy pressure from Ben Kelly behind him. At one point, it looked like Ben Kelly may even try to wrestle that top spot away. Then Gerard able to turn it up and just open up a gap a little bit more over everyone. And then we lost Ben Kelly from that battle. And then it was Jordan Ashburn into the number 2 spot, looking like maybe he was going to make one more run at Johnny, but he's able to hold it to the finish. And Liam Draper actually making his way around Jordan Ashburn, taking away the number 2 spot, and ultimately getting what would be 3rd place overall because this guy right here played the spoiler.
Yeah, Playboy right there out of that XC2 class. His mechanic, Andy, give a shout-out to Andy, former mechanic for Jordan Ashburn, his championship season. I think it's safe to say, give Andy some credit here. The man knows how to build a bike.
Yeah, absolutely. He already has an XC1 championship, looking like he's working on an XC2.
So Grant Davis, your overall winner today. Johnny Gerard in the 2 spot. Liam Draper 3rd. Jordan Ashburn 4th. Ben Kelly, welcome back to Ben. Great day for him sitting in a 5th OA. Sue Baylor just outside of that in 6th. Angus Reardon, solid day 7th. Rui Barbosa 8th. 9th, Cody Barnes. And Lyndon Snodgrass rounding out 10 here today. And I think we'll take a look at that points standings as well. No, scratch that. My bad. And Johnny, we did it yesterday. It's good to be back GNCC racing. Final thoughts, big takeaways from today.
Man, just a lot went on.
Yes.
I mean, it seemed like we had so many storylines from Liam Draper's first XC1 race, ultimately ending up on the overall podium there in 3rd, 2nd place in XC1. Grant Davis, the 2nd time we've ever had an overall winner out of that XC2 class. Johnny Gerard, rock solid. I mean, so many storylines. Final thoughts. Man, it was good to be back, GNCC
It's
racing.
awesome to be
I'll
back.
go generic. It was awesome. We saw great battles. We saw everyone lay it on the line, and I think we've got some exciting races coming up these next 3 rounds.
It's going to be today another historic day. Yesterday was a historic race, in my opinion, for Wyatt Wilkin picking up his first career win and all the other things going on. And then today, for the second time in GNCC history, and coincidentally second time this season, Grant Davis taking an overall win from the XC2. Do you think in the last 3 rounds, will it happen again?
Man,
pressure, and you're on camera.
It's been going on so long that going back to 2007 with Thad Duvall was the first time we were so close to seeing it happen. And you always think that, like, this is the time, this is the time. So to have it happen twice in the span of 5 months, basically 4 months. It's exciting, but do I think it'll happen again? I have absolutely no idea.
Who the hell knows? I don't know. It's just crazy. It's fun to watch. But, boy, that was a sensational race. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. The Mountaineer, I believe, at Beckley. We call it the Mountaineer?
Yes.
I don't know. I've lost track. Yes, the Mountaineer. There you go. Thank you, Adam. He threw up the ticker right there. So round number 11, the Mountaineer will be back on the 14th of this month. Obviously, ATVs on Saturday, Pro Bikes on Sunday, and then round number 12, the John Penton. We'll head out there at the end of the month. And don't forget to tune in every Wednesday night for those highlight episodes, 7 p.m. Eastern. And that is going to wrap things up for us here today. Congratulations to our top riders. And on behalf of Jackson Burrell, Zach Herron, Johnny Gallagher, big shout out to Ricky Russell joining us in the booth as well. Camera operators, JC, Matt, Josh, Mike, Leah, Kirsten, the drone pilot, Gabe Scholl, our manager, Dan Reinhardt, our engineer in charge, Jordan McFadden, director, Don Hampton, our producer, Adam Gordon, and our executive producer, Miss Carrie Jo Russell. I'm Mikey Waynes. We'll see you at the races.